32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Surlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations. I am Spaceboy.
And I'm Surlana.
And this is Spaceboy Universe. It is October 1st, 2016, and tonight's special guest is Amanda Dianne, Houston actress, and we'll probably take your calls if she'll let us. As always, follow us on Twitter at the SBU Universe, and follow Surlana at Surlana. Of course, there's always me, your lovable Spaceboy, at Spaceboy Music.
Remember, hashtag your tweets with hashtag SB Universe and hashtag Space Cadets.
Speaking of Space Cadets, you know, you can go hang out with them at the spaceboyuniverse.com by clicking the dancing chat bubble at the top of the website. That's right. Clicking that chat bubble that's dancing will get you in with all the cool kids.
And you can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Just search for Spaceboy Universe.
You know, Surlana, speaking of YouTube, you can find more than the Spaceboy Universe of archived shows. There is video content from Spaceboy Music, video interviews, 2-Bit Gamers, and so much more.
And if you can't catch the show live, that's not a problem. You can take the universe with you on the go with Spreaker, SoundCloud, and iTunes.
Because we love to broadcast. How are you, Surlana?
Well, once again, you seem to be better. I'm regressing.
Well, I still got a little crud in the old throat there, but
yeah, but
I've been
forced my stuff. Yeah, I forced my off-brand on you. I want to take my left eyeball out and go wash it out, and then stick it back in. See if that helps.
Could you push your mic a little bit closer? Yeah,
like this?
Yeah, a little bit closer there.
It moved.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I had when I was in my worst period,
sorry, that's Kleenex.
My right eye was, when I'd wake up in the morning, it had all this. Here's the part where
stuff.
you need to stuff coming out of my eye.
That's what's happening,
and it was just miserable.
It's burning, it's stinging, it's constantly leaking. It looks like I'm crying all the time. I've taken every kind of eye drop. It just won't stop.
Man, I tell you, we're really trying to get better. We promise, but it just seems like
it could be the weather change.
Weather change.
I'm not believing any of this stuff with the weather. It's almost like we're having fall, but I don't believe any of it. It's a false flag fall.
Well, if you remember last year, I guess it was about this time or towards November, we got sick together too. In fact, when we were playing that best of clip from our 1-year anniversary, there was the...
Yeah, that one I could tell. It was the E.T.
Yes.
The extra.
You
were stuffed up.
I was stuffed up. You were like, I don't feel good. And so that was all good. What was that all about?
I'm sorry.
You playing asteroids over there or something?
I'm just going to have to turn off TweetDeck because it makes that noise.
Make that noise? Okay.
I won't be seeing your tweets unless I go the old school way here.
But, we are seeing tweets left and right here and there.
I'll go back to the just regular Twitter site.
Yeah, so, I'm looking at the Spreaker chat right now. Hey, James, how you doing, bud? I see good old Jing boom at you. There is Miss Tina Carpenter. How are you, my dear? And, of course, Jeannie Shaw is in the house. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the next subject, which is K-28.
Who?
K28.
Never heard of him.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I thought he was a bum when he came in, and I wanted to have, buy him dinner. But our friend of the show was here in Houston on a work-related matter, and we got to have some chow, our dinner, with him, and it was quite a treat. We sat down.
Our first fan meetup.
Broke bread with K28 and talked about different things. And
it's like we only have one fan.
I think Kay, what was funny about the conversation was that Kay mentioned that, it's almost like listening to the show, but watching it live with y'all.
Yeah, he was sitting there and goes, this is like listening to the show, but except I can see it.
Yeah,
I'm here.
And I said, pretty much, what you see is what you get. We are like this off the air. Maybe a little bit more.
Broke tortillas.
Yeah. The soup was delicious. I think I ordered the large one, K28. What do you think? So, but yeah, it was good to see K28.
Yeah,
there's pictures out there of us.
Yeah, on Twitter, Spaceboy had a large bowl of tortilla soup, which he ate, slurped, and then he wore the bowl on his head because it was so good.
Oh, it was delicious. There's not many places I can go to get a good tortilla soup that's authentic, and that one was pretty close. Now, the place that we usually go to is called, what is it, La
Fiesta.
Yes, Las
Party.
Yes, so they usually do it, but they only do it between October 28th
Yeah,
and
they have a
February
limited time offer tortilla soup at that place.
And they probably know me pretty well now because I've been anticipating the soup that's coming up.
If only they were on Twitter, they could give you constant Twitter soup updates, like soup is coming in 1 week. Or
soup countdown.
No, it should be now, though. Starting now, right?
I thought it was October 28th. Or
is it?
No. You could be right. I think it's the beginning of October.
They're extremely snooty about their soup.
I'm thinking the 28th of February is when it ends. But anyway, looks like we're going to Las Fiesta soon because I love their soup. It is delicious. It's so authentic and quite tasty. And so soup is in my future here, which is not bad. Other than that, let's see.
If only we had a coupon we could have for people.
Well, I am still, like I said, battling the crud in my throat.
But he is better.
And
These
pills I'm taking seem to help me. I take one right before I go to bed. Like, in fact, I took one right before the show.
Well, they're 24 hours.
Yeah, so I've been trying to keep that cycle of the taking the
How
medication.
are your dreams when you take them? Normal?
I haven't had a dream in a long time.
See, there's the difference. Mm-hmm. You see the difference it makes when I take it versus you take it.
But I think with me, it's been like, for the past several nights, especially this week, where we've gone to bed and the next thing I know, the alarm is going off and it's time to go to work, so, but whatever. Hey, Surlana, we work hard for the money to provide the show, and some of that is...
If only I could tell people the hardships.
But I'm leading up to the fact is that we've been working hard to make Spaceboy Universe awesome. And a part of that awesomeness is that we're going to be at the Mini Maker Fair coming up on November, what's the dates exactly again?
12th and 13th, Saturday and Sunday.
So 12th and 13th, we're going to be there. But I want to tell the audience, if they're in the Houston area or if they're planning on being in the Houston area at that time, you can get tickets at a reasonable price.
Actually, 50% off.
What? Yes, that's right, 50% off. And if you go to the Mini Maker Fair Houston site, which you'll go to our website and you can find the link there, just put in the code SPACEBOY. That's with a capital S, SPACEBOY, one word, and that'll give you 50% off tickets. And Surlana,
come to Houston, come to Maker Fair, see us live.
Yeah, that's one big thing, see us live. But also, people think, Maker Fair, isn't that just like robots and stuff? No. What else can you find there?
It's a good question, but the event coordinator, David, said it's not just people who do technology and build robots. It's anybody that's in Houston that creates with their hands or with their mind. It could be film. It could be filmmakers. It could be cosplay. It could be DIY. It could be modding,
painting,
in
in other words, friend of the show, Carol Perrette. I mean, she does paint.
She could do that.
Yeah, she could bring her paintings. That's Maker Faire. You could build computers. So Rick Sennett could actually go there and tell people how to build their own computers,
or to stop calling him with their problems.
And I guess even if Gene was to show up, he could
do poetry, space poetry.
So I mean and then of course K28 showed up. Decided to come back. He could talk about trains. I mean, so these are all maker things that you could talk about. I mean,
he's actually talking about Buc-ee's.
Oh, yeah, Buc-ee's. That is another subject altogether. But anyway, Maker Faire coming this November. You need to get your tickets. And like I said, if you put in the code Spaceboy, that'll get you 50% off tickets for this event. And at the very least, if you come, you'll get to see Surlana and myself doing a live show, which is going to be awesome. Wouldn't you say that, Surlana?
Remains to be seen.
Okay, we'll see. Speaking of other things that we like to promote, Solaris Blue Raven. We love her. She knows we love her, right, Surlana?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, so she's got a new book.
If not, we'll tell her.
She has a new book out called 1 Million Miles Till Midnight, Between the Mirror and the Lens. And it's now available on Amazon.com. And I hope I don't butcher this site, but it's GLANNANTTY.com. It's available in softcover and Kindle edition. So, support Solaris. Tell her that you heard it here on Spaceboy Universe, that we love her, and that we've told you that her new book is out. So go get it while she's got them all out there. I switch it back to you, Surlana, since I've said a few mouthfuls there. I know you've got some stuff on your banter.
Oh, you want to talk now?
I'm always talking.
Well, you know how we're in this age where we have to be concerned about, and in fact, at my workplace, we're constantly having drills and getting prepped for the worst, not just fire drills, but, the other kind of drills where people might pop off and go crazy. And unfortunately, we hear about these attacks happening on campuses, but this is completely different and unexpected. The creepy clown epidemic has been blamed for the closure of several Ohio schools. So it's not bad enough you have to worry about shooters or, acts of terrorism. You now have to worry about someone dressed as a clown showing up randomly at a store or school, and apparently it's freaking people out.
Well, I know
they're calling it clown attacks.
I always worried that my boss from my former job was going to show up. Oh, different clown. I'm sorry. I could digress. No, but as far as this has kind of been ramping up to this point, and it's really gotten majorly clowns left and right.
They said this decision was prompted by an incident that happened where a woman says that a man dressed in I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I apologize. In a striped outfit, a red wig, and a white clown mask grabbed her by the throat while out on the porch at 4 a.m. I don't know where this was at. She said the clown said, "I should just kill you now," and some students and teachers wish they were never born at the junior and senior high school today. And that threat was enough for the superintendent to close down that school. Well, I think that's a valid threat, but it's just... It's odd to take in while he's dressed as a clown. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that it's any less of a serious matter, but now we have to worry about that.
Well, I think what is interesting, because, we do watch a lot of YouTube videos. I do recall last year seeing some pranksters dressing up as clowns, and, where people were coming down the walkway and they were, acting like they had just killed somebody, and then the clown would go after them. So I don't know if that... I'm sure you're going to get some copycats in this situation, but these clowns that they people are seeing have these freaky masks. And in fact, fairly recently in the recent American Horror Stories, there were killer clowns in that particular one. I think it was 2 seasons ago, I believe. And so the killer clown, and this is not an unknown thing. People do have a phobia of clowns. So, it must be something out there in the general psyche that people are picking this up.
is it part of human nature to be afraid of them? Because I mean, it's like they didn't have mimes and clowns at caveman times. It's like, how did we come to have this new?
You've always had something through history that had spooked whatever during those times. I mean, what was it? A succubus?
Yes,
incubus. During way back then. And then, as you get closer to modern times, I mean, aliens in general, the Greys, have kind of been the modern day kind of spooky, I don't want to see anything like that at the end of my bedpost, So, I mean, for every generation, there's been something that comes up that's spooky. I mean, think about Christmas. What is it that evil beast that comes? It's
Krampus.
Krampus, that's right. That's been around for centuries. I mean, that's just another example of putting the fear in the psyche of people. So, anyway, and what's interesting about that is they're putting the fear in the kids with Krampus, and then I guess clowns in general are, can be kind of freaky, So, anyway,
Kay just typed circus peanuts.
Oh my goodness. So we go from that, let's see what I have. So Marvel's really, man, I love Marvel. I know I shouldn't be overexcited, but I do get excited about Marvel in the sense of their TV shows. Luke Cage finally came out September 30th, which was yesterday, and I've started watching the shows, and it is awesome. It has great music. It's got one cool dude that's ready to just bust your job for the right reasons. It's just really a great show, and I guess I've gotten into like 4 shows already of it. So I'm excited about that. And speaking of other DC things that are coming to Netflix, I guess they should be available sometime this month, is you got the Season 2 of Flash, Season 4 of The Arrow, and you can't watch one without the other because they're both great. And then finally they're putting Legends of Tomorrow, which is Season 1. So if you are a DC fan, and you like The Flash, you like The Arrow, and then you will love Legends of Tomorrow. They're all kind of tied in together. So Netflix gives you a chance to binge watch coming up. So
I don't know what's doing that.
I don't know what's doing that too. Anyway, you might hear some freaky sounds, but don't worry about that. That's Surlana just trying to keep everything together.
We've switched computers around for the Skypes to make sure it works.
Another thing, as I continue on my list of banter talk, is that I have to say thank you, Mr. Lobo of OSI 74. They recently released their promo for shows that they're doing on their channel, which you can check them out on Roku. Mm-hmm. And it's OSI 74. And it's got me as a part of their promo rotation, promoting their show and promoting Spaceboy Universe. So he's a righteous dude. So.
Yes, he is. It'd be cool if we could have gotten him back on for some time in the Halloween, but I'm sure he's probably in great demand.
Oh yeah, this time
of month. Yeah,
I'm sure at some point we'll get him back on because
we could talk about classic and schlock horror movies. Mm-hmm. Although I wouldn't be able to speak to that. But.
I would love to do some Mr. Lobo cosplay. Because if you get a chance,
just put on a suit. That's it.
A suit,
you're done.
Maybe get a wig.
Wig. You have a wig that's similar, actually.
I really would like to do that, just to pay homage to Mr. Lobo, and which is great because he is a really swell guy, and I follow him on Facebook, and it's always cool to see the stuff that he posts. Out there, and Mr. Lobo, what can I say? You're just a great guy, and I appreciate you.
What is doing that?
It's something USB related.
I've pulled out all non-essential USBs. Okay, it's still doing it.
That is not going to be good.
That is not. Yeah.
I'm going to have to do tech service here real quick. Go into your properties and change the sounds to no desktop sounds.
What, for Windows?
Yeah, you just right-click your desktop.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Go into properties.
Sounds.
Yeah. So Surlana's doing that.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Another thing that's on my radar is Funko Pop. Geek Tyrant is reporting that Funko Pop is releasing a series of Animaniacs related things. They're going to have Pinky and the Brain. They'll have the animating acts himself.
I saw Pinky, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like, you shut up and take my money.
Yes, Fry. So, but yeah, I'm kind of partial to Wacko, so I might think about getting me a Wacko. Maybe
I want the brain and maybe Dot.
and Dot, Polka Dot. So yeah, that's coming out. So that's some geek stuff that is definitely on our radar to get. Let's see, what else do I get?
Speaking of geek,
Oh, what?
you know the little mini Nintendo NES is coming out next month.
Yeah.
So I know you're jazzed about that, and it's gonna look like the classic Super NES, but mini, and it's portable. Well, Japan is getting their version of the precursor to the NES, which was the Famicom. So they're going to get a mini version of the Famicom, and I think it might go for the same amount of price, but it's really neat looking. Famicom was also called the family computer, and it's what took over Japan before the NES.
Before we got hit here with.
Yeah. Now it lacks a few of the games we're getting, but they make up for it by games we won't get. Like, are you familiar with River City Ransom
Oh yeah.
and Final Fantasy III?
Oh yeah.
And they swapped out some of the American games like Temco Bowl, and they put something in like sumo wrestling, which they're more interested in. But I thought that was interesting. I'm gonna post a link to it in chat because you can see a little picture of it. It's kind of adorable.
Yeah, I've seen what is it? The Angry Video Game Nerd talk about that particular system.
Fits in the palm of your hand, just like the one that's coming next month.
I think it's great that they're doing these things. I just wish they would have games where you could buy the system and play the actual games that you have in your system. But I know I've seen
There's no profit in that.
I've seen some machines that can play the games. I think that one machine that's a shame that you can't buy something where you could play the actual game you have is the Atari 2600, because I have tons of those. I have a system, but for the modern TV, it really doesn't work out. And I guess I could fix it to where I could play it through the television a little bit better, but it's just not really designed to play on the new, big screen TVs, and that's a shame. But it's great to see that I'm jazzed for the NES thing that's coming out, and I can't wait to play like Castlevania and all those other games, and actually play Super Mario Brothers, the original game. That's going to be fun to play on the big screen. All in HDMI. So yeah. So that's next month, right?
November.
Yep, it's just around the corner.
And your birthday's in November, so that'll fit.
What, it is in November? I know I'm turning old as dirt, but anyway, so
he turns whatever age he turns on the 18th. My birthday's also on an 18th of a month, which is kind of strange.
What else we got there, Surlana? What's on your list?
Well, I just happened to see this, and this blew my mind because I had no clue that Spotify is buying SoundCloud.
What?
And yeah, I had no idea. They're in advanced talks to purchase SoundCloud, which means Spotify would have access to SoundCloud's library of 125 million songs. And that would give SoundCloud a financial boost because SoundCloud just opened up a $10 a month service, which has failed miserably because I don't see what benefits you would get from it, because having it free is just fine.
Now, full disclosure to everyone, we do use SoundCloud to archive the shows. In fact, you can find the Spaceboy Universe shows there that are archived there. In addition, there is a Spaceboy music channel.
Yes.
That you can hear Spaceboy music-related music. Now, I personally have only used SoundCloud as an archive, if you will, to find this show and Spaceboy music-related.
Yeah, if I have the urge to listen to one of our shows, like our anniversary show, which I thought was so much fun, I go back to SoundCloud. But there was actually an issue with that one, so I don't know if we've looked into that. So I just downloaded it so I can put it on a stick. But yeah, so SoundCloud's getting bought. It's sort of seen as SoundCloud's the successor to MySpace as far as free music. But this is where a lot of, like yourself, an independent artist can just put their music up if they want to offer it for free and download. You don't have to have it downloadable. You can choose. But I guess that means you can tap into what SoundCloud has, which is a ton of independent artists. They're saying, some artists have gone on to, by using SoundCloud, they've gone on to get fame. And there's one, I can't even pronounce that name, so I'm not going to do that. But they're saying mainstream artists like Drake and Kanye West, who I don't really listen to, still use SoundCloud as a way to circumvent their labels and upload music directly to their fans, which I did not know. So I think that's interesting. So it's I'll be looking forward to seeing what happens there.
Well, like I said, I've used SoundCloud for Spaceboy music before we started doing the universe. And it was just a great way to actually put music out there in different formats because, Spaceboy music can be found on like iTunes. It can be found on Spotify. And I wanted to make sure there was just different covered them all to different platforms. So.
Well, I would go to SoundCloud, way before you started putting your stuff there, but it's where I would find mashups until they started putting the hammer down with copyright on that. But I would find really cool mashups. Now, I have another site I go to for that, and I'm not going to mention it because I don't want it to get shut down.
If you want to know what that site is, just contact Surlana.
You'll have to send me a private message on Twitter.
Send her a private message. She'll hook you up
if
with
you like
cool
mashups, which is where they take 2 or 3 or more songs and they make it into one song.
Well, Surlana, before we head into the break, there is one more subject I want to cover. And apparently Stephen Hawking is still scared about us making contact with aliens.
I'm laughing about something else you've said in relation to this topic, so don't say it now.
Okay. Is it something that we did for the anniversary show?
No, it's something about going out into the universe. You remember that?
Going out into the universe. Now I'm confused.
I'll tell you during a break.
So, what is he so bent out of shape and scared about? Does he know something? What do you think?
You think he's got some inside info?
Yeah, I mean.
So you get the impression he thinks it's dangerous and will lead us to no good.
It wouldn't be, now I'm thinking about it, my imitation of, okay. Anyway, so.
Don't do that.
Okay, I'm just going to I do an imitation of Stephen Hawking's robot thing.
The first time he did it, it caught me off guard, and I cried. I was laughing so hard.
Why are you crying?
No,
Surlana?
it was better than that.
I know, it's the throat thing. I can't really give it any justice, but
don't bother.
Anyway, it was funny, but maybe at some time when she's
You're
not too
funny
nervous.
when you catch me off guard and I'm not expecting it.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, what's up with that? I mean, I think it's a little too late to say don't contact the aliens out there because we've been flip the switch since the 1930s when we started broadcasting.
If they
want
to contact
universe,
it'll already happen, I'm sure.
I mean, I'm still waiting for the Independence Day kind of situation that Hawk is trying to push. The Hawk. I guess.
Well, if it's all right with the Hawk.
A little IT.
I saw a mug today that says, "The elders of the internet know who I am," and if you know what I'm talking about, you're cool.
The IT crowd. Look it up, people. It's a part of your
homework
assignments to be an honorary space cadet.
I think it's on Netflix.
Netflix. And moving on to Amazon, they, a show that I would kind of, Amazon puts these shows out there. For okay, let's see if you like it. If you like it, we'll renew it for a whole season or whatever. Well, they've decided to go for a full season of The Tick. So I'm kind of excited about that. I saw the first one; it wasn't too bad. I'd like to see some more episodes of The Tick. And I mean, let's face it, it's not going to be like Patrick. Come on, you know his last name, Patrick.
Warburton.
Well, yeah, Warburton. And in the sense that he really brought something to that role, but
that's great. That's more time to myself.
So, but yeah, the guy that's playing, I can't think of his name, but I do know he's been in those AT&T commercials with the kids, and so he's playing the Tick. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So with that said, Surlana, let's go ahead and take our break and send a transmission out into the universe and see if we can get our guest tonight, which is Amanda Dianne, Houston actress. And we are looking for...
Producer.
Yeah, and producer.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, so here we go.
I'm from another planet.
I am from another planet, and you are listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com. Don't touch that button.
I'm from another planet.
Mark your calendars. The Houston Mini Maker Faire will be at the George R. Brown Convention Center for a 2-day event on November 12th and 13th. Come join them and be a part of their growth story as they boost invention and creativity through the greater Houston area by developing a world-class exhibition. Stay tuned to the official Houston Mini Maker Faire website at www.houstonmakerfaire.com to hear more insights about content, schedule, tickets, and maker exhibitor registration.
Hello Space Cadets. It is announcer Savannah. I want to tell you that as a dedicated member of the SBU team, you always want to look your best. Do it in a Spaceboy Universe t-shirt. Get yours at spaceboyuniverse.com by clicking the banner on the website.
This is author Gordon Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt at Bot vs. Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot. You're terminated. Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Explore the universe, spaceboyuniverse.com. Spaceboy. And Surlana. Spaceboy, and Surlana. Spaceboy, and Surlana. Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana on spaceboyuniverse.com.
Hey, Surlana!
What?
If Spaceboy Universe was cheese, would you eat it? Come on now, it's a simple question.
Maybe?
SpaceboyUniverse.com. Techno, dance, atmospheric moods? Yes, my friends. My latest release, Digital, has something for everyone. Even makes a great gift for Grandma. Buy your digital download at SpaceboyMusic.com.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Surlana's Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
Greetings everyone. You can catch Spaceboy Universe on every Saturday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. However, we know that you might not be able to catch the live show. That is why we have many places to listen to it on demand, like iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube and Spreaker. So take the universe with you wherever you go.
To call in, dial area code 7137015 to 14. You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
Born and raised in Katy, Texas, Amanda Dianne is no stranger to performing before her acting career. In high school, she was a member of dance, band, and the color guard teams, where she performed shows on the football field, the gymnasium, and on the stage. While completing her degree in mathematics at the University of Houston, she started acting and taking voice lessons. She has performed with the Dionysus Theater Troupe in their production of Honk and their traveling children's show, Hana Rama Kwanzamas. You can see her in the front of the camera in Manos, The Rise of Torgo. She's a guy's guy and the upcoming horror short, The Resting Place. While not pursuing her acting goals, she tutors math, exercises, travels, reads, makes hats and bracelets, and works with various charities for animals. Please welcome Amanda Dianne.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Amanda. We're just so glad to have you this evening, and like we were talking during the break, our show is pretty laid back. We're not going to get you with gotcha questions, and because we ultimately would at some point.
I don't know what those would be.
We'd like our guests to come back, and so and plus, if you could say some kind words when you leave about us on the way out, please feel free to fill out the comment card.
We should make them fill out an exit.
Do you really have one of those?
No.
Do you really have a comment card? Oh, okay.
No. We should get one.
You should. You should have an exit survey.
Yeah, so, well, like I said, we're excited about you having on tonight, and I know that Surlana is going to do most of the talking because, I'm still having some vocal problems with.
He's been under the weather.
But
seriously, but he's getting there.
But I will inject a few heres and theres and everywhere as they come along.
And she's getting welcomes from our Spreaker chat.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Spreaker chat is lit up like a Christmas tree, and all the space cadets out there are welcoming you to the
there
universe.
She is. Hey, she's in.
Yeah, I'm watching.
Oh, cool.
I love it when they figure out how to do Spreaker chat.
Yeah, that's always great when a guest can get involved because the show is very interactive. We like it that way because we want our audience to participate. So anyway, I can keep on talking here, but I know Surlana is lined up with questions. Mm-hmm. So Surlana, it's all yours.
Well, I admire people who want to get in front of the camera or even involved because I am such a shy, retiring introvert. I would never contemplate something like that. So when did you get the bug to do this sort of thing?
Well, I, like you, am also a shy introvert, but
no,
I don't know.
Can't possibly be.
Well, I've always wanted to be an actor as a young child, but I didn't realize that it was something that I could actually do, until I was in college. It's like, hey, you're in college. You're like, hey, what is it that I really want to do? I was actually pre-dental in college, and it was like, do I really want to spend my time being a dentist, which would be great.
And the money would be good, right?
Right, yeah. Or do I want to be creative? I've always had a creative kind of side to me, whether it was doing craft projects or playing the piano or, like you mentioned, I was in the band, I was dancing. So I've always been really creative, and that's actually when I've been the most happy. So I just decided to follow that goal.
That's awesome. So you followed that goal. Where did you get your training?
I've taken acting classes from a lot of teachers around town. I also did a showcase in Florida, and I went to LA for a little while and took some classes out there. That was actually a lot of fun. I had a great time there. And then I wanted to feel what it was like to be in LA and feel what it was to be like to be an actor in LA, to understand what it would be like if I go out there. It's not an easy thing. And so if I decide to go out there, I want to make sure that I'm prepared mentally for that uphill climb.
Mm-hmm.
So how long were you out there in the land of dreams and make believe?
Well, I try to go out there every 6 months or so, just for like a quick weekend thing. But that class was like a 2-week summer program, and it was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of cool people, a lot of people from all over the world, and I've not really met people from around the world. I met an Irish girl, I met a Scotsman, I met a girl from Idaho. I met a guy from Australia. I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So to date, you've been doing that. You've been acting. So have you had a role where you've had the most fun, or you've been really happy to do?
Yeah, actually, I did this web commercial for this fitness band called Amzer Fitzer. You can see it on my website. And they called me in. They liked me, but I guess they had somebody else. And they called me in the last minute because that person canceled. And so I was like, yeah, I'm available. Let's do this. So I showed up at like 5 a.m. to do this early morning shoot. It was freezing. It was last year in December, like right when that cold front hit. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was outside running and I was cold. But I really liked that shoot because we shot it all really like in one day, and it was hard work, but it was fun work. Like I had never done, like most of the stuff, a lot of the shoots I'm on are emerging filmmakers. And so they're still trying to find their way of working and a lot of the stuff. And those guys were pretty professional, which it was really nice. So I had a great time doing that. And then I did a commercial like last year, and my friend texted me a couple months ago and was like, hey, did I just see you in a commercial in Austin? And she sent me the link, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. I shot that a year ago. That's so cool. I made the cut. Because you never know what happens. You try to see the commercials later, but you can never find them. So I was really happy about that.
And then I can only imagine that, when they do the editing process, you might be in something and they find that, your editing has gone to the floor and you didn't quite make the cut that way. Even though you got to participate, I can imagine, that could happen as well.
Yeah, I didn't think I made that cut, but I was so happy that I made that one.
Okay. I was curious. So you've done all these roles and you've had your fun, but is there still like a dream role for you out there, or do you just not know it yet?
I mean, I guess the dream role would just be that really good script, because really good scripts that you are hard to come by. And so when you find a script that's really good, you just want to be a part of that project in any way. So I've come across a few of them, and I haven't had the pleasure of being in the ones that I'm like, this script is really good. But I read all the scripts that come out during the Oscar season when they release them, and that way you get to see like how much work goes into them. And I also read them to understand what's on the page and what the actor brings to the role, so I can hopefully aspire to do something like that. So as far as like a character type, I don't know. I really would like to do a romantic comedy or a romantic type leading lady type thing. I don't know. You just kind of want to do everything, right? That's what actresses want to do. We want to do everything.
So basically, you're in the playground. So whatever comes your way, whether it's the slide or going on the monkey bars, it's kind of like in acting. Is that you've got these different parts. You've got horror movies. You've got the love interest movies. The action movies. So I guess you kind of just go where if the call takes you there. You were talking about reading the scripts. I can only imagine in a sense of, as a musician, you pick up some good music to read and see how complex that is and what goes into that. It makes you a better actress as far as reading those scripts and trying to find the desired role that you're looking for. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and you get to understand like writer's voice. And there's just so many different ways to write a script. Some are very more, I don't want to call them like novels, because scripts are not like novels at all, but they're they're more flowy, and then some are short and choppy, and some have direction, like for the director. Some don't, and so it's really good idea to get a big picture of everything that goes on, and then you get to find things in all the scripts that I get. I try to find things that I really like about it. So sometimes you come across these scripts and they're emerging artists, and you're like, hey, this person really does have a voice, and this is pretty good. I want to do this.
What are some of your preparedness techniques that you use for a role to get into the mindset of whatever you're, acting?
Yeah, how do you prepare for a role, or what's your method?
What's your method?
That's every actor's question to other actors. Because
we don't want to reveal any secrets if you don't want
to. No, that's the thing though, is that it's not a secret. It's kind of what works for that person.
It's personal,
and that's why it's so hard. But I have a couple of things that I do. Of course, you break down the script. I like to take all the scenes, if I'm in more than one scene, and print out that scene only, because you work by scene. And then also, you do a couple of things. You find your objective. You do any substitutions. Of course, you have to memorize your lines. So you do all that, kind of grunt work right away. And then usually, the day before the shoot or the day of the shoot, I kind of take a breather and just kind of relax, think more in broad terms to get into the character, and not really specific terms. You get all the specifics out of the way first, and then you go broad. That's what I like to do. Now, other people might like to do other things, but that's what I like to do.
I still can't get over, because it's acting. It's something I would never try. Basically, playing make-believe, like when you're a kid. I mean, I know it must be more to that, but it's just fascinating to me to become someone else for a while. I mean, I don't know. Some people can. There's a lot of actors you hear about on set. Once they become the character, they can't get out of it till they're done shooting. And those are the ones I can't understand. Now, you hear crazy stories like, Wesley Snipes has a lot of crazy stories attached to him. I heard that during the Blade movie, you can approach him as Wesley. You had to talk to him, dress him as Blade.
I've heard of many actors.
And, a lot of them, once they get in the character, it's like they're locked. They can't get out. You have a comment on that, or you think that's just as valid, or?
Yeah, I've come home from acting class where I played a angry scene or a fight scene, and I've been definitely agitated. So I don't think that that's very good for me. I kind of have to do just leave it at the door, leave it at cut kind of thing, because I don't think that's for me. For my film that we'll talk about in a little bit, I started growing my nails out so I could grow them into points.
Wow.
And I got pretty far. It took a long time because I am a nail biter too, so I had to stop biting. And I could not type. I was trying to work on all my proposals, and I could not even type, and it was just ridiculous. And then one of them broke, and so I had to cut them all off and start again, which I never started again. And I was like, maybe I'm not that kind of thing. I'm even growing my hair out, and I just want to cut it so bad, but I want my hair long for the shoot.
Mm-hmm. That's like sacrificing for your craft there.
Well, you do have actors and actresses that have to get into the role.
They have to lose weight, gain weight, prosthetics.
In fact, Charlene, and I don't know why I'm terrible for last names today.
Whatever you say, I'm pretty sure it's not Gene Hackman, whoever it's going to be.
I appreciate that. Charlene starts with a T. Anyway.
Charlize Theron?
Yes, thank you very much.
I was like, yes. Please, God, he's not talking about Charlene Tilton from the 80s.
Amanda gets a gold star tonight from me.
Yes, she does. She already has one.
I've been told I look like her.
So, I was just reading
great compliment.
Reading the thing how she's gained some weight for a role, and when I guess gaining weight, I'm not talking that she's gotten pa-poom, but she's
put some pounds on.
She's kind of a very slender woman, and so in this picture that I saw, she looks more momly, in this picture.
Homely.
Yeah, well, homely, or however you
Motherly.
motherly. But it's part of the roles. Like even, man, and I cannot believe I'm just going blank with some of these actors' names. This
It's not Gene Hackman.
It's not Gene Hackman.
I'm sorry, that's a running gag, Amanda.
The Australian Down Under actor, not
the one that yelled.
Yes,
the Batman.
Not Christian
not
Bale.
Oh, okay.
This one played it.
Not
Hugh
one that
Jackman.
yelled.
We'll get to it. So it's not Hugh Jackman.
I'm just going to name hot Australians
There's
until we get to
a third one. He played a sailor, commander, and but he also played Russell Crowe.
God.
Yeah, there
Ooh,
you
that
go.
was painful.
He put on some major weight for a recent movie he did, and I mean, he really had a huge old pot belly and everything. So I guess what I'm getting at is that
I'm sorry, he makes me laugh sometimes.
And so you get these different actors and actresses that really either beef up like they did when they did the movie for The Matrix. All the actors really took some hardcore classes to get really buffed for that movie. And then you've got some movies that the role is kind of a dumpy fat guy, so you put on a few pounds. So I can only imagine if your role called for something that like long nails or something like that, and the hair thing, you would do it because that's your craft kind of thing. You want to get into that character.
And you think, and it's worth it for you because it helps with, I guess, your authenticity and getting into the character and.
Yeah, and also because, it's an indie film, we have to raise all the money, and so anywhere we can save money is a good thing.
Yeah.
So instead of buying a wig, I'll just use my own hair, which I love my hair, so I really wanted to use my hair. But yeah, as far as like gaining weight, that would be, I think only the big guns get asked to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But, that would be something. I don't know, I'm trying to get skinnier, so I don't really want to gain weight.
Well, Christian Bale, going back to him, he did he did a movie called The Machinist.
Yeah,
and he really got seriously really thin and
like spooky thin.
Kind of just I think that they were concerned that he might die if he didn't put back on some weight. But but that's another example of going the opposite end. Is getting extremely thin for a role, but he did a wonderful job in that movie portraying that character. So, I can just see, the different. Here's another one, Heath Ledger. He really worked his craft to get into the mind of what the Joker would be all about. In the end, he has a remarkable performance in that Batman movie. And it shows because he just really went beyond. But some say that he goes so far that he couldn't return back to what he was.
Right.
So that would be a concern, is that how far will you go for your craft? And, what
will it damage your psyche?
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, for me personally, I wouldn't really want to do anything like that. Because I'm here on this earth. I got to live my life. Acting is what I want to do, but at the end of the day, you are who you are, and I want to be happy. I want to live a good life, so I'm not going to try and, go to a place where you can't return and just not. It's not. I don't think it's worth it. But that's me.
Yeah. Well, to each their own. And, I guess it just it depends on the role and I guess like I said, there are some rare situations when you have actors like Heath Ledger that they're so passionate about their craft and wanting to perfect their character. Some of them get lost in that process, and it is truly sad. And we lose good actors and actresses in those situations.
That process though is a lot of fun. That's the most fun, is like working out your character, working on your part. That's the most fun. So I could see why they would kind of lose themselves, especially in a character like the Joker. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I feel like you have to once you're done working, you're done working. especially for a character like the Joker. You got to put it away sometimes.
Right. Now, I can't say that I have done any acting gigs more recently, but I do know, and I can tell the audience that I was in theater arts in high school and became a thespian, a part of the Thespian Society. And some of the fun, I know this is not a word, but the funnest things
Please.
to do.
The most fun.
The most fun. I did that
God.
because I'd get a rise out of Surlana.
The English major.
Yeah. So the most fun that I would have is to actually become somebody different, to become another place, another time, and to be that character of that place and time. So I can identify with what you're saying as far as becoming the role and just I'm an old man in the sense that I'm 47 years old, but there is something, I hate to say it, childlike, that when we're children, we want to, when I was a kid, play cops and robbers or space aliens versus astronauts, and, just have fun and just, explore our imagination. I think as many adults these days, they don't explore their imagination. But what we get is actors and actresses such as yourself that still love that aspect of becoming somebody else and having fun in that process, and then ultimately getting it on film or behind the mic to entertain people and seeing people laugh and cry with those performances. So
right.
I hope I didn't instill any thunder here. It just I do know that as I may be older, but I do love to do the explore other realities in the sense of having fun and becoming other things.
Yeah, I mean, in acting class, I was once doing a very large class, and they had some kids in there, and we were doing improv, and they are the best at improv because they never filter themselves, and they never go, oh, I shouldn't do that, or maybe that won't work. They just go for it, and they don't care if it works, which usually it does. I mean, it never not works. So it's kind of a lesson in just not really second-guessing yourself, trusting your instincts, and just going for it. I actually find trusting your instincts is probably the most valuable tool you have as an actor and maybe as a person.
Well, that's a wonderful thing about improv is that, it's just whatever comes to your head.
Whose line is it anyway? It was one of my favorite shows in the whole world.
That's wonderful to be able to bounce off people.
And the one that was on ABC. That's how I got hooked into it, was when the Comedy Channel showed the original British Whose Line. And that's where I got addicted to improv comedy, so to speak.
Is it different from the American version?
Well, yeah.
Like with the British humor?
Well, the British, they get to say some words we can't say on TV.
Right.
Some of you get, every now and then there would be, Stephen Fry was on one, and what's the cross-dressing British guy? Can't think of his name.
Lizzie.
Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, Eddie.
He's on one. A lot of people come on regular, but Colin Mockery was always there, seems like, and the tall, gangly one was always there. Ryan Stiles was there, and you got to see the British sensibility merge with the two Canadians, and some Americans would come on. So it had a different flavor. They could be a little bit more outrageous, and there was one they had on Tony Slattery. He was an English guy. They would just verbally beat him up. It was just so funny.
I know that the CW network, I believe, had a revamped version of that, and it was pretty funny, but not as much as the earlier one with Carey on it, and
Drew Carey,
and of course the British is always funny. We watch a lot of British television, so I feel like we naturally can watch it and not have to worry about subtitles, which is always funny. And they're like, okay, they're speaking English. You just need to pay attention. And
I adore British comedy.
Yeah. So So
I used to watch Are You Being Served when I was growing up.
I love that show. It's very funny.
Yeah.
And, that Are You Being Served? And many funny moments out of that particular show. But yeah, just countless shows from Britain that are quite funny and entertaining, and dramas too.
We mentioned one in our banter, which is a more modern one, the It Crowd. And because he and I have both worked in tech support, he works in tech support, and I have worked in tech support. It's just kind of like the holy grail of what it's like when you're going, supporting users and what goes on behind the scenes. It's just a brilliant comedy. Same guy that wrote Father Ted, so. All
right, ladies. So we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to take a quick break here, and we're interviewing Amanda Dianne, actress extraordinaire from Houston, Texas, and hopefully you'll search out and learn more about her after the show, and we'll kind of go from there. So let's take this break, and we'll be right back. Hey, you tuned in. Well, let me say that again. You are tuned in to SpaceboyUniverse.com. And just to let you know out there, the phone number is 713-701-5214. That's 713-701-5214. Just keep that in mind. Just know that at some point we'll open up the request line so that you can call in and talk to our guest, or maybe talk a little bit later, so you have that number handy. So, Surlana, what do you have now?
Well, I want to get into something a little quick before we get into one of her current projects she's going to do, because this is sort of a little tribute to my sister out there who's listening. She and I love Mystery Science Theater 3000, and it was with that show I was introduced to a little thing called Manos, the Hands of Fate, and I have seen it 6 more times than any human being should probably see it. You know, I've seen it so many times on reruns, then when it came out on DVD, and then recently Riff Tracks did a live riff of it.
I love the fact that she's giggling in the background about this already.
Yeah. Well, just real quick for those out there listening, it's I don't even know if it's good enough to be called a B movie. It's like a C or D horror movie list. It was made in El Paso, Texas, by a fertilizer salesman.
I'll have to use a quote from Mr. Lobo in Cinema Insomnia, is they're not bad movies. They're just misunderstood. Yes.
I totally don't understand that at all. So it's just a guy who's got a little cult of women and a guy with serious leg problems. And this couple gets lost. They happen upon his little house. Torgo takes them in, and weirdness ensues. So, Amanda, you've been involved in a prequel to Manos called Manos: The Rise of Torgo. Can you tell us anything about your involvement with that?
Yeah, sure. So that was one of the first indie projects I ever did. So that was really cool. So I actually went in and auditioned for one of the wives.
Oh my God! Sorry.
I was a really bad wife. He wanted me to do some kind of basically a play on how those wives acted, very over the top, and I wasn't very good at it. And so the last second he's like, "Can you do a country accent?" And so I break out my country accent, y'all, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can do one right now for you, And he's like, "Okay, you're in." So I go and we shoot this scene out in Tomball. I'm in a car riding around an old car that was actually quite beautiful. And yeah, so we're just asking about Valley Lodge. But he's almost done with the film, and I really think that the people who are fans of the original will really enjoy this film, because I know that other people have made sequels that were nothing like the original. I think somebody made a musical. But this one, he's really trying to pay homage to the original film. We even dubbed the audio afterwards.
Yeah, to make it sort of not synced.
Not synced feel. And I've seen some of the screenshots. I haven't seen any footage yet, but I've seen some of the screenshots, and they look really good. So I feel like everybody's going to, if you're fans of the original, you're really going to love Manos: The Rise of Torgo.
Well, that's something I was curious about. Now that you're into the production part of it, do you think the original, the guy who put the original Manos together, do you think he set out to try to make a good film on purpose, or you think you get to a point where we've gone this far, it's there's no turning back now, we can't fix it, just whatever we got's what's going to go out there?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he got the bug, the film bug, decided to make his own film. Maybe he thought it was really great, and then turns out it wasn't.
I wonder if it's more difficult to make a bad film on purpose, or it's just organic.
We're getting into this territory where one of my favorite bad movie directors is Ed Wood. And,
yes,
I mean, you have to ask, did he really set out to do bad movies? I mean, the impression that I got was here was a man who loved making movies, even when he was doing Glinda, and where they were setting up different scenes and trying to avoid the police because they didn't have a film permit. They were trying to, put it all together,
shoot and run,
basically. And so I can only imagine it kind of ties back earlier what you're saying, that you love acting, and you like being a part of that. And I guess it's just as fair as saying, the director who loved to direct a movie, maybe he also wanted to be inside his films too, and so I guess it just kind of comes to the point where I don't think they necessarily set out to be to make the bad movie or anything.
But the thing is, it has ended up being kind of a classic because of all its flaws, and I think a big part of that is due to Mystery Science Theater and Riff Tracks, because they brought it to our pop cultural attention, and so more people are having their eyes on it. So I was going to ask you, Amanda, if you were involved in a production, say you were acting, or you had you have a role, or you produced, or you had some kind of a production that ended up getting ridiculed like that, how would you feel, or you'd be cool with that was getting publicity of any kind?
Well, number one, it's really hard to make a good movie, and so I think people forget that, because the stuff that we see on the big screen they're very good. So when we get into our indie films, it's really hard to make a good movie. So when you come across an indie filmmaker who makes a good movie, you're like, oh, they did it. They did a good job. But as far as being ridiculed, I feel like it's almost like it depends on who it was coming from. Most of the people I don't know, I probably wouldn't really care about. But if it was coming from somebody who I really respected, and they were like, not even ridicule, more of like constructive criticism, like, hey, I know you could have done better. That's the kind of stuff I think is helpful. Just, people bashing things, for no reason at all. I mean, other than it might not be as good as what they thought it would be. I don't think that's really helpful. It's like, okay, you go try to make a movie and see how it turns out, because it's really hard. So I feel like everybody's at their own process, and hopefully they get better. If they never get better, then maybe that's their threshold. So like with Ed Wood, he wanted to make films, and that's the kinds of films he made. I kind of feel like everybody's at their own level. Yeah, everybody's at their own level. It's not sure. You might say some are better than others, but that's an opinion, right? It's everybody's opinion.
My opinion was Birdemic was way worse than Manos, the Hands of Fate.
Well, that intro was, Driving Forever. The only saving grace for that particular movie was Hanging Out with My Family.
Yeah, there's a driving intro credit scene that's longer than that, and it's called That Touch of Satan, and I have that on DVD. So anyway, but let's get to the good stuff here. So you are in The Cabin. You're part of this. You're producing this. So what can you tell us about The Cabin?
Yes. I wrote and am producing and going to star in The Cabin. So this is pretty cool. I wrote this short script packed full of effects. I sent it off to Joe Grisoffi, who I know you guys are going to have on in like 2 weeks.
We are? Really?
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
So he really liked it, and I sent it to him also because I watched his movie Conjoined. And I even went on Amazon or whatever and paid to watch it because I really wanted to see what he had made. And the movie was made, they call it micro budget, so it's basically made for very little money. And he kept me entertained the entire time. So I'm like, okay, this guy can make some films. So I asked him to direct this short, and he turned me on to some good crew members in town. And it's been kind of a long process. We got fiscal sponsorship from Swamp, a local organization in town. And Monday, I'm actually launching the Indiegogo campaign to raise some more money. So we have some money to make the film, but we need a little bit more. And that's where we're at right now. Hopefully we're going to be shooting in November. And I think it'll be really fun. First of all, I get to play a witch, which I've been wanting to play a witch for a while. And then we're going to have 2 other actors on. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm trying to, this is a starting point for me. So I'm starting with this film. I have another short film I want to make after this. And then I want to kind of move into features. And so I'm learning how to produce things, and I'm also going to try to learn how to make money doing this, because that's the goal, right? We want to do this for our living.
Just like we're trying to make this broadcast our living.
Did you hear that,
Right.
Space Cadets? Yes.
Well, we went to a lecture Jason Rashin was giving, and he's how we found you and Joe. And we mainly did that just to be able to talk to him, but we sat through the lecture on how to produce an independent film, and I'm like, wow. You know, I mean, I suspected a lot went into it, but it seems like when you do it, it sounds like you've got to have an on-staff psychologist in some instances to deal with, different personalities and maybe conflicts that may happen that don't have to do with, the script or anything. But I admire the people who are driven and determined to do it, especially in the face of financial, blocks like that.
Well, the thing is, no matter what you do, you're going to have roadblocks. We might have a little bit more roadblocks as independent film producers, but no matter what you do, you're going to have roadblocks that you have to overcome. And I feel like if you stop at a roadblock, you're never going to get anywhere. But so basically, whenever I set out to make this film, I was like, what do I do? I have no idea. I didn't really ask anybody, what do I do? Maybe I asked Joe some questions, like next step kind of thing, because he's done it before. But I just kind of sat there and was like, okay, I need money. How do I get money? Okay, I got fiscally sponsored. Now what? So it's kind of taken me a little bit longer than what I would have liked, but at the same time, I didn't know what to do, and I'm learning what to do. And so hopefully in the future, it'll be a little bit more quicker. And, I'm not going to stop, so.
Have you started on the production of it yet, or are you still in the funding phase?
We're in both. So I do have a month-long Indiegogo coming, but we've started with production as far as meetings, budget meetings, I guess you could call it look meetings as far as like the special effects. So probably in the middle of October, we're going to see where the Indiegogo is, and then we'll probably get started with building the effects. The effects will take time to build, so we're going to start with that first, and then we can go on to casting. We already have our location, and then just, last-minute things, just securing everybody, really.
And didn't you say you were doing this in Northeast Texas, the filming?
I don't know where it is. I just know it's in Longview. I have no idea where Longview is.
Oh, I know Longview very well. It's off of I-20, because I am from Shreveport, Louisiana, which is about 30 miles from the state line on I-20. We're actually closer to the Texas state line up there than we are probably down here. So I'm familiar with it. We used to go there. This is pretty sad. My town didn't get super Walmarts for a long, long time. And the nearest one was like in Marshall or Longview. And once or twice we'd go over there with a cooler, and just because it was just something new and different. And they have excellent snow cones up there, I can tell you that. But during the summer. But yeah, I know Longview very well. But what I was going to ask you, is there something special or different or that you like about filming in Texas, or using Texas as a backdrop, or even Houston for that matter?
Yeah, I was born here. I grew up here. I feel like Texas, we have such a mythology to Texas. That, I've never lived anywhere else, so I can't really speak to other people, but there's just something about Texas. We're so friendly here. Yeah, you go to other places. I travel a lot, and some places people aren't friendly, and you're like, okay, I just sneezed. Where's my bless you?
For example,
or where's my thank you, ma'am?
For example, you have to watch out for them Canadians. They're an odd bunch. I have to usually hold them off with the extent of my arm just to make sure where they're coming from. But no, I understand what you're talking about. Texas is a unique place as far as as you can be in anywhere in the country. I mean, Texas alone is like its own little mini country because you have wooded areas, you have flat plains, you have deserts, mountains.
Houston is like a lush green jungle right now.
Oh man, with all the rain we've been having lately, it's crazy. But yeah, there is something genuine about Texas people in general, and I'm not trying to badmouth the rest of the world. It's just, when people come here, they recognize there's something different.
That used to be your tourist sign. Texas, a whole another country.
Well, that and don't mess with Texas is a other part of that equation. So, but I digress. I didn't mean to pull away from what you were saying, but yeah, I just wanted to add to the flavor of Texas is a unique place.
He's from Texas too.
I love Texas. I brag about it all the time. When I leave Texas, which is not often, I feel like I'm an ambassador toward of Texas, and I try to give people what they want to hear, what the stories, and I'm one of those kind of people that I tend to be the Texan who tells you a story, or like try to help you understand what this is all about in the form of a story. And like, for example, success is like going up a mountain. It's full of adventures and ups and downs, but ultimately our goal is to get to the top of the mountain. So there you go. There's a Texas story for you that I'm kind of well known for telling. But anyway, I hand it back off to you as far as
well, so you're doing The Cabin, which is a short horror film. What do you think makes for a good horror story, or what are some of your favorite movies or film or books, and what inspires you toward that?
So my favorite books, I think, are ones that are written thoughtfully. I don't like reading things that aren't written thoughtfully, and I've read a few of them, and then I'm like, oh, that didn't really make me that much smarter. But, it can be fluff. It can be more Pulitzer-based. My favorite book, actually, I'm slightly dyslexic, and so I had a hard time reading novels until I graduated college. Once I graduated college, I think I was like, I am done learning. I am done learning from from textbook type things. And so I was able to actually sit down and read some fiction. And my favorite book I've read so far is actually East of Eden.
Classic.
By John Steinbeck. And there was just one, I was reading a chapter, and it was like the beginning of the chapter, and I was just like, read the whole thing, and it was like, this thing is like the most beautiful thing I ever read. So I like reading thoughtful books. As far as movies, I tend to go for leads that are female because, I want to identify with what's on the screen. But, anything's good. I'm not, let's see. I don't go see as much movies as I would like, honestly. I tend to go to the big theater chain and watch whatever they're playing, but I try to see the indie films that are getting press. Like, I want to see Hi, My Name is Doris, and I want to see American Honey. Those are the current indie films I want to see. Mm-hmm. I when I'm at home, I try not to actually watch television and movies because I try to work. So usually those are my breaks when I get to watch film and TV.
Yeah, our good friend Jason, he is very hardcore when it comes to the indie movies, especially here in Houston. I know he gave me a lashing with a wet noodle because I was talking about going to see a big blockbuster movie this Saturday. I guess I put a tweet out there, and he said, not me. I'm going to, see something indie here in Houston, Texas, and I gotta love him for that because he's promoting Houston, and we love indie movies. I mean, given half a chance, if we could do a whole program, we could probably do just a bunch of indie movies that we love to watch. I know with me personally that when I worked for Blockbuster Video many years ago, showing my age again, part of the thing is that you had to watch everything in there, and that was more than just like the new releases. You watched everything else so that you could, like, if somebody asked you, "Hey, do you have what is your recommendation?" And I would like just go through every indie movie I could find in the store and watch it, and so I could be able to tell people about good or bad movies. And it felt like the guy from Mystery Science Theater stuck in there watching all these movies. But indie movies great, and it's important to support those indie movies because they usually spawn off and give us the big blockbusters, and
Okay.
One thing I wanted to point out though was there was a couple of television shows and a couple of large movies filming in Texas, but the legislature cut the funding for the Texas Incentive Program, and so pretty much every production that was done by a major studio left the state. So we lost business to New Mexico, New Orleans, and Georgia. And I saw a video on Facebook. There's an association called the Texans Motion Picture Alliance. I think I'm saying that right. And the president released a video, or did an interview where he said that they're basically going to be lobbying in January for them to bring back the funding for this program back up to, I think it was $100 million. So if any of your listeners want to help support our cause, then they can go and talk to or write to their representatives and saying, hey, we love film in Texas and let's get it back. Because, the original season of American Crime, which was a huge hit, was filmed in Texas. Now they're filming in New Mexico, or they might be filming in LA. The Leftovers was filming in Texas. And who's that guy that lives in Austin? Rodriguez?
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, he has his shows filming here, which he can't film here anymore. So yeah, we need to get our people back so we can attract more people to Texas.
That is crazy to hear. I did not hear this story.
See, I always thought it had to do with what production would come into a state. It had to do with tax breaks.
Well, we don't have tax breaks in Texas, from my understanding. I don't know all the ins and outs. Mm-hmm. We have more of an incentive program, and so it's not like, I feel like with the tax breaks, they like the tax breaks because it basically gives them free money. But according to the video that I watched, for every $1 that a production spends in Texas, they get about $5 out of it, and it's not free. Yeah, it's not free money. They have to. I don't know the ins and outs of the program, but they have to, comply with the program. It's more of an incentive program. And since it got defunded, basically all of the productions left.
Well, that is pretty, I'm going to say it, it's messed up because Texas is full of great actors and actresses. I mean, film industry, period. And, as we've been exploring the Houston market alone and meeting people such as yourself and Joe and Jason, just kind of broaden our mind up to the great people that are here to perform for film. I'm just shocked that, I've always thought that not Houston, but Texas in general had a pretty open policy to want to attract these people. Now I know there's been a big industry in Louisiana,
my hometown,
and then also when I did a stint in Georgia. I lived
trapped in Georgia.
Yeah, I was trapped in Georgia for a while. I remember living not too far from Lithonia and Stone Mountain, where they would film in the heat of the night. Once again, showing my age, and I apologize. But so I was just I'm really flabbergasted over the fact that Texas has not been more aggressive in trying to, keep up the film industry here. I mean, because you got left coast, you got west coast. And what about Texas? I mean, we're smack dab here, and it just makes sense to have such a great film industry here because like I said, we have, these different places in Texas that you can go from being forest to mountain to desert. I mean, cowboy movies to sci-fi movies. Right. It's just, it is pretty crazy.
there's a show that they filmed over the summer called The Sun, and it was based on a best-selling novel called The Sun as well. I think AMC is doing it, and that book in the show obviously is about Texas. So I was so happy to see that they filmed it here because it's about Texas. Mm-hmm. But I think that was the only show that was filming this summer. When last year we had maybe 2 or 3. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
All right, guys, we're at the bottom of the hour, and it's time to take our next break. Everyone, you are listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com, and tonight's special guest is Amanda Dianne, and we will be right back after this. You're listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com. I'm your wonderful host, Spaceboy, and across from me is...
probably not as wonderful, but yeah.
You're the lovely Surlana, so go ahead. You admit it. You are the lovely Surlana.
That's in the contract, at least.
And who are we talking with tonight?
We're talking to Amanda Dianne, who is an actor and upcoming producer here in Houston, and she's got this short horror film coming up that she's getting started with production with The Cabin, and I'm really interested in where, I mean, is that going to get on the independent film circuits here in Houston when it's done?
Yes, so we have a couple of routes for distribution. I'm going to approach the short film clubs in town to request a screening. Also, our director, Joe, he has connections with the Roku channel.
Oh,
and
really?
so he should be able to get us on Roku channels. And then with short films, quite often the route is the festival route. So we probably we might not be able to do like a public release until we exhaust our festival route, because a lot of the times they don't want you to show it publicly. But it'll be out there for everybody once we get a chance. I definitely want to get it out there.
So, I wanted to circle back because, we know Amanda as the actress.
We do have a caller if you're willing to take a call, Amanda.
And this is how this always goes before I can get into a juicy question.
Are you there, caller?
Hello?
Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Bev. How are you, dear?
We'll get it right tonight.
Yeah, you did get it right, didn't he?
I wanted to butter you up tonight. You know how it is, Bev. I'm sure while Robert is in the other room, I'll butter you up.
Did you have a question for Amanda tonight?
Well, I just wanted to tell her that, she is so accomplished, and I just admire her for that, being so young and having so many accomplishments.
Well, I don't take much time off. I really don't. I stay busy a lot. So my goal is to turn this busyness into being busy, but also making money, because I'm not doing so much of that yet. But we'll get there.
Oh yeah, you will. It just takes time. How old?
Yeah.
I just have to ask. I just have to ask.
How old are
you? How old are you?
How old am I? Well, we're really not supposed to say, but I'm actually not an ageist. I'm 31.
Oh my goodness, you
goodness.
are. I'm old enough to be your mama.
I'm old enough to be your aunt.
I'm old enough to be your younger brother.
Uh-huh.
Well, my siblings are actually all older than me. The closest sibling I have is 11 years older than me.
That's the same.
Wow.
That's the same as me.
Yeah.
Wow. My siblings are older, and 10 and 13 years older.
Yeah. I like it that way. I was a young old person, or an old young person, that's what I meant to say. So I was 70 when I was 12, and the older I'm getting, the younger I'm getting.
You had an old soul, now you're Benjamin Buttoning away.
See, that also reminds me of
that's
Mork
a good way
and
to I'm
Mindy.
going to use that.
Yeah.
I wish I felt younger.
Did you have any other questions or comments for her?
I just wanted to tell her, that she's so accomplished and being so young. That's kudos to you, my dear.
Well, thank you. I got big plans. We just got to figure out how to get them going. That's all. It's you have a goal and you just figure it out.
It takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you're a go-getter, and I know you'll get to it. You'll get it.
I kind of call myself the bugger. I'll bug you till I get it done.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Bev, thanks for calling home.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for taking my call there, Spaceboy.
Anytime, my dear.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good, she hung up because I was afraid to hang it up.
Surlana's still learning the Skype thing.
The Skype thing's really touchy with me.
But, so before the call came in, and I'm sure there's going to be another one that calls in maybe soon, but I wanted to get back to the fact that you are a musician as well.
Yes, I am.
So let's take it from there. What is it? Your primary instrument? How did that all start? When? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. When I was a kid, I remember having a piano in the garage, and it wasn't in tune pretty much, but I kind of always messed around on that, playing heart and soul. And then, in school, I was in band, and I played the trumpet. And then, let's see, when I got out of school, I had a break, and then I started taking piano lessons. And I was taking piano lessons with this really great teacher. And those piano lessons were very difficult, let me tell you. Just kind of taught me that I'm not really, I would say, a natural pianist. Some people are natural, but I'm not a natural. But I had a good time with that. And then when I started acting, you understand that our body is our instrument. And so we have to stay in good shape. We have to be able to move. And along with that, I wanted to make sure that my voice was, a good instrument too. So I started taking voice lessons too. So I've been taking voice lessons for about 5 years now. And I remember when I started, and I was like, 7 years and I'll be good. Because that's what they say, right? 7 years to be good, 10 years to be an expert.
Right.
So I've had a voice lesson. Sometimes we take summers off and we take winter break off, but I've had a voice lesson for every week. So at this point, I've actually done more voice lessons than I have done acting lessons, which is kind of hard. But I feel like I'm going to be doing more acting lessons, but at the same time, it's like keep chugging away at that voice lesson. So I sing opera and musical theater.
That's what I was going to get at, is that, have you had an opportunity to do any singing in any productions, or maybe thought of doing some film musical film?
Well, I have auditioned for some musicals in town, but I haven't booked anything yet. It's still a goal of mine to do that. One of the films I want to do is kind of a love story musical, so there might be a chance to showcase vocal ability during that. During the cabin, I am going to be doing like chanting and stuff. So I might, and some screaming. So I'll be able to show off not really singing vocal ability, but some kind of vocal ability. It is a goal of mine, but honestly, singing is so much more exposing to me than acting is. So it's a hurdle that I'm approaching. I'm looking to overcome.
What's that old saying? Being a triple threat, you can sing, act, and what's the other one? Dance?
Yeah, I can kind of dance. Not really, but I kind of. If you show me what to do, I can do it. But I'm not a choreographer.
Well, it sounds like that's probably the next big thing on the list of things to do, is to take some dance lessons. You've done the acting thing, you've done the lessons with that, and then of course the piano. Did some lessons with that, so I could see dancing instructions in your future, possibly.
Yeah, it's so funny. I actually have a friend of mine who wants me to join her dance class, so maybe this is the sign to follow through.
We're just a guidepost along the way through the universe, so you can, help you to your destination. So, but so I know that you love music, and talk about I think I asked you when we first talked to you, and what's on your playlist? What are you listening to? What are some of your grooves that you get down with?
So I mostly listen to dance music. And like electronic, basically upbeat stuff. I'm not really into, when I listen to music, I want to feel good. So I listen to upbeat music. I have my dance playlist. I also have a singing playlist. So whenever I feel like singing, I just put that on. A lot of Disney songs on that, and pop songs that have nice vocals. and maybe some dance songs. I have nice vocals. And then I also have my audition playlist that I play when I'm driving to my audition, just to get, I don't really sing a whole lot. It's just kind of to warm up my voice, get some oxygen in my lungs, and relax a little bit, put a smile on my face right before an audition, just to kind of calm things down. I do get kind of nervous, so just to kind of calm things down and make sure I put on my audition face.
Yeah, it's kind of like
part of her process.
When I'm driving home, I've got dubstep on, to accent the road rage.
Well, then you need to stop listening to dubstep as much as I like
usually,
it. That's not helping.
For me, it's usually I'll listen to cool jazz on the way to work, and then by the time I'm heading home, it's like, and I've got this car that's, small little car, and it's, the aluminum is really thin, so when it's doing that bass, it's like I get these looks from people all the way around me while I'm in the car, and I just really don't care. I just want to go home. But no, I can relate as far, there's the playlist for just different occasions,
Right.
Like I was just saying, the dub thing, there's nothing better to get angst out of you than some, good hard electronic music like dubstep or I've even tuned on metal, and I'm not a big fan of metal, but I'll listen to it just because I feel the energy. And then there are times I just want to just kick it back with a smooth jazz playlist or orchestral.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on orchestral pieces.
Yeah.
I love that. It always brings me home. In fact, and I'm getting off on a tangent just to tell you about me, but it usually happens that way. But I interject a lot of orchestral pieces into my own music. I do a lot of digital electronic music, and I love taking orchestral pieces and mashing them up with electronic and digital, and because I grew up on 70s music where you had Barry White's Love Unlimited Orchestra and things like that. So I get that pull in from the orchestra aspect. So I can totally identify with the fact that you need a playlist that will get you where you need to go, and it's great to hear that you do have different things that, especially like when you're heading to an audition or something to that, to kind of loosen you up and get you pepped up and ready for action. So that's really cool to hear.
And I also like how music is emotion. I mean, it's so emotional. Like you were saying, you're listening to your angry music on the way home and your calming music on the way to work. And I actually, whenever I'm doing a film, I usually like to make my own playlist, even if it's just for like one song for a character that I hear. I'll even ask the filmmakers, like, what if you were to describe this scene in a song, what song would it be? That way I can that way I can get like where they're coming from.
That is a new level I've never heard about, taking it to that kind of level to bring out what needs to be brought out.
That's interesting. One of the first things that I emailed Joe about the project was a playlist of, I think, maybe 4 songs, and just so he knows what the tone is, because there's a lot of different tones for films, and this is a horror film, so there is a certain kind of tone, but you can have a hopeless tone, you can have a suspenseful tone, you can have a lot of different tones. And so I sent him the playlist right away, so he knew like where I was thinking when I wrote it. And it's so funny. I'm sorry?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do have an idea of something I wanted to convey here real quick after you finish your train of thought.
Well, I was just going to say it's so funny because it's like everything is happens for a reason, maybe, because as I was finishing up my draft for the short film, and I'm listening to my Apple Music on just whatever, and it's like you hear all these songs, and that's like, oh, that's page 1. Oh, that's page 2. So it's so interesting that all these songs that popped up on my playlist were like, that's what I need for my film. I mean, we can't really buy the songs because that'd be way too much money, but we can use them for inspiration.
That's when you find usually somebody that can work a deal out with you, or a musician that has some.
Spaceboy.
Shameless plugging. I'm sorry, but at least I've got my wife involved in this whole thing, this conspiracy. But I was going to say, it's interesting you bring up the music, and I know you're using music soundtrack to kind of give you an idea of the tone of the performance and the film direction. But it's always interesting to me also when you take film to music to film, and you take a song that is so sweet and wonderful, and it's been put into a horror movie. Or I know this is one extreme, like the Jeepers Creepers. It was the Jeepers Creepers, and it's the old, I guess, 40s song, and you never expect it to be, like, okay, it's in a horror movie. And there's been some other ones where they've taken, Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, and kind of slowed it down and made it more sad and tragic, and so it's interesting to see how they can take that music and interject but
soundtracks can really enhance a project, a short film, or big production number. I just think about 2001: A Space Odyssey, what classical music did for that. It's just amazing how. I'm not saying a soundtrack can make or break, but it can really add another level.
And I know we were talking about the fact that we're not really necessarily, you were talking about soundtrack for the film, but as far as you're talking more with music to inspire you to give an idea to the director or whoever, this is how it should feel. It's wonderful how music brings out certain feelings. And I think this is where I was thinking and going with this, is that there are times when I've been emotionally sad and could not convey it into words. However, I get behind a piano or behind my digital workstation, and I'm able to resonate that feeling into sounds. And so I can kind of connect in the sense that you're picking out sounds or songs that resonate what this is all about or what this feels. And I think it's really cool to make that connection on that level.
Yeah, I feel like in any way you can build your world of your film before you actually film it, it's going to make it a better product.
Indeed. So, Surlana?
I was just wondering, so do you have advice you could give for people who are aspiring to make a short film production or to be an actor, or what have you learned from your experience that you could tell someone else who's trying to maybe get into this business?
Well, whatever position you want to go for. So if you want to be an actor, okay, so let's start with actor. So my advice would be to take an acting class, because then not only will you understand what you have to do, you have to hit marks, and sure, it's not that hard, but when you're first learning, it's something new, and you have to practice it. You have to learn to not look in the camera most of the time, and then that adds on the people that you'll meet. So you'll meet other actors, and then you'll start to network, and I don't really like that word network, but you'll start to make friends with people who are trying to do what you do, and you'll be able to help each other out. As far as making short films, if somebody wants to be a director, I would say there's tons of groups around town. Swamp is one of them. Swamp is great. Swamp offers several classes. They did one on production assistant. They did one on location management. They do all kinds of classes if you want to learn about film. There's a meetup group. There's all kinds of groups where you can go and you can be like, hey, I want to learn to make films. And pretty much everybody there will jump on you and be like, yes, come make films with us. So, and the other thing is you can, I wouldn't say spend any money, but spend some time writing a script, and you can meet people, you can film on your iPhone, and you can practice, because chances are those first films that you make won't be that good, because you got to learn how to make films. And so then that way you can do that without spending much money. And then when you get to the point where you're ready to make something with money behind it, you'll be ready for that.
Okay. Amanda, we've got another caller, one of our regulars. Dino, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for being patient. Did you have a question or a comment for Amanda?
Well, I guess it's a question and comment for all of us. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Space. Hi,
Hello.
Surlana.
Hey.
I just wanted, to look at the other point of view that the acting profession, when you're working in production, big production television or theatrical film, if you're not in Hollywood, like I got into it late, and I got someone to help me get in the union. I had done stand-up comedy just, on my own years ago, and I'm a good public speaker. I was active in my city and, speaking truth to power and all that. So when I had an opportunity, when someone helped me get in, it can be fun. It can be exciting, even if you have to get up 5:30 in the morning sometimes to go to set. But all it takes, it also can be very cliquey, and everybody can be kind of phony friendly while everything's going well. But you can slip up on set, or you can say something about someone else and it gets back to them in the wrong way. And, you're young and I hope everything goes well, but it can get pretty nasty, and people can then end up, instead of they being there to help you achieve your dream, people try to block you and do things behind your back. So I've seen both sides of it. I was lucky enough one day I was just doing some background work and someone said, "Oh, you're over 6'1", aren't you?" Yeah. So, well, can I have to go? This guy said. He goes, "You're in the union." I said, "Yeah." So I got to be a stand-in for Clint Eastwood that day, But that's how I got in. My father at one point found out he knew Clint Eastwood through an ex-wife of his. He worked on a movie, and he told me, "Well, when he comes to your town, tell him to give you a line." And I said, "I can't do that." My dad said, "Sure, he knows me, and all you should have asked him," but I didn't. And that was the movie Deadpool, so I didn't get a line.
Wow.
So I hope that you continue, Amanda, to have good experiences, but if you have bad ones, don't let it get you down, because there is also, with all the beauty of the art of acting, there can be ugliness, and I probably wouldn't have been in as many background films as I had I not met Robin Williams before he became famous. And when you got to know him, he didn't go overboard or anything, but if you treated him like a real person, I got a lot of work from him whenever he brought a movie up to the Bay Area.
What haven't you done, Dino?
Well, when you live long enough, you've done a few things. People think I'm lying, but if you don't have children, you live in the same place for most of your life, you get a lot of different things coming through, and you're in an exciting place like the Bay Area,
Well, I feel like I'm lucky because, and I've been told this by people who moved here from Hollywood, and that Houston is very supportive. So, of the people that I've met, none of them seem, I want to say maybe malicious. None of them seem to want to hurt you, or maybe phony, like you said. But whenever I did go to school in Los Angeles, I did meet a lot of people who talk big talk, but when you really look at the facts, you're like, no, I don't think so. I think I have a good BS reader, which helps protect me a little bit. I mean, if somebody is talking big game, and I Google research them and see some things that don't quite match up, it's like, okay, I see where you're at. But I try to approach everything from a good heart. Maybe that's their aspirations, and they're working towards that goal. So maybe when I see somebody's maybe kind of a phony, I wish them well, but maybe not do business with them.
Well, remember, when you're hot, you're hot, and when you're not, you're not. When you're hot, everybody loves you, but you upset one person on set, it can be a second assistant director that all of a sudden feels like you didn't give him enough. Or I've even, once in a while, wardrobe people are usually pretty nice, but once in a while you're just saying something nice, a wardrobe person comes in. I had a property master woman once all of a sudden snap at me. She asked if the star had put money down on the table. I said, "Oh yeah, he put down 20. And she looked at me, she goes, "I didn't ask you." you know. So you never know. These people work long hours. If you're on the production side, it can be a pretty lonely life. I remember people that have worked on maybe a film and they're working 3 months and they maybe have 1 day off, really, and their whole life really revolves around people on the set. So Houston's probably a little bit, a little bit more regional and people get along. But when you are like in Hollywood or the Bay Area, it can be a small town, and if someone likes you, oh boy, they can help you out. But you know the best. You're a young lady, but you know best when someone says, "Oh, I want to take some photos of you in your bikini." You gotta be careful about where that's going to go. I can get you big jobs. Just Très jolie.
Well, Dino, thanks for calling in, my friend. Yes, it's always
Thank
a treat
you.
when you call in.
Okay, take care of your voice as we approach fall here. Drink lots of herb tea, and everybody seems to get scratchy. I'm only scratchy today because I went to the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival, walked 2 miles, and ate a lot of dust of about 500,000 people trepsing through Golden Gate Park. So take care of yourself this time of year. Everybody, don't get sick.
Thanks, my friend.
Thank you, Dino.
All right, good night.
Good night. Well, ladies, we're at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and take this break. And let's see here, get this going there, and...
I'm from another planet.
Yes, indeed, I'm still from another planet. I'm your lovable Space Boy, along with Surlana and Amanda Dianne, and you're listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com. We'll be right back after these messages. Mark your calendars. The Houston Mini Maker Faire will be at the George R. Brown Convention Center for a 2-day event on November 12th and 13th. Come join them and be a part of their growth story as they boost invention and creativity through the greater Houston area by developing a world-class exhibition. Stay tuned to the official Houston Mini Maker Faire website at www.houstonmakerfaire.com to hear more insights about content, schedule, tickets, and maker exhibitor registration.
Hello Space Cadets. It is announcer Savannah. I want to tell you that as a dedicated member of the SBU team, you always want to look your best. Do it in a Spaceboy Universe t-shirt. Get yours at spaceboyuniverse.com by clicking the banner on the website.
This is author Jordan Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe. Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mama and them I said hi.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt Pit. Bot versus Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot. You're terminated. Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Explore the universe, spaceboyuniverse.com. Spaceboy. And Surlana. Spaceboy, and Surlana. Spaceboy, and Surlana. Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana on spaceboyuniverse.com.
Hey, Surlana!
What?
If Spaceboy Universe was cheese, would you eat it? Come on now, it's a simple question.
Maybe.
SpaceboyUniverse.com. Techno, dance, atmospheric moods? Yes, my friends. My latest release, Digital, has something for everyone. Even makes a great gift for Grandma. Buy your digital download at SpaceboyMusic.com.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Surlana's Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
Greetings everyone. You can catch Spaceboy Universe on every Saturday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. However, we know that you might not be able to catch the live show. That is why we have many places to listen to it on demand, like iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube and Spreaker. So take the universe with you wherever you go.
To call in, dial area code 713-7015-214. You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
Almost missed it.
I know. I was like, here once again, having a great conversation with Amanda Dianne behind the scenes and explaining different things about the universe and what's gone on. And I think it's always funny because we always try to explain the Gene Hackman thing with me and just me brain farting and just can't remember a name or
basically what he was trying to talk about Gene Wilder in a role. Who's the guy that played in Willy Wonka? He got the Gene. He kept saying Gene Hackman. I went, oh my God! I would pay money to see a recreated Willy Wonka with Gene Hackman as Willy Wonka.
And then was it you or somebody, one of our space cadets, that took Gene Hackman's face and put it on?
I did it on Willy Wonka's.
Yeah, put on Gene Hackman's. Gene. There I go again. Gene Wilder's face.
So we went to, if you're familiar with the Edwards Theater, that's over here by IKEA on I-10. Well, that movie theater, if you go down one side, they have these murals painted, and one of them had Gene Hackman in that Western. And so I went, oh my God, stand still! I got to take a picture.
So anyway, I'm constantly good humor for Surlana, which makes for great broadcasting. So
yeah, I recommend our last week's show near the end where we play those clips, and you'll find out what he calls E.T. the extraterrestrial. It's worth it.
Just review it on your own time.
Review that on your time.
So now that we're back, I wanted to hear more about Swamp. And could you kind of guide us through through the river on that and let us know more about that in our audience?
Sure. SWAMP stands for Southwest Media Alternate Project, and they are a local organization that's a nonprofit organization, and that's for filmmakers and film enthusiasts. So I got involved with SWAMP because I submitted the cabin to be fiscally sponsored by them. And what that means is we get a pretty page on their website, and people can go and they can donate to our project. And that is swamp.org/the-cabin/. And when you donate to our project through SWAMP, the donation is tax deductible, and SWAMP takes care of all of that for us, yes. So if that's something that you're interested in, getting a tax deductible donation, go ahead and do that, please. And then also we're going to be launching our Indiegogo campaign on Monday with some cool perks for that as well. So if you're more of a perk person, we have our Indiegogo. If you need more of a tax deductible kind of thing, we have our SWAMP for that.
That's great.
That is great.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to make kind of, because we're asking for money for this film, so I just wanted to make sure that people got with something in return. Mm-hmm. So, if you need that tax deductible donation for your taxes, then, we'll be able to provide that, and then we get to make a film. Or, like I said, if you're more of a perk person, we have tons of cool perks that we're going to be launching on Monday. As little as $5, just a shout out to, you can even for I forget how much, you could get a special effects piece that our special effects person, Christy Bowl, is going to be building. And we have some pretty cool effects that are going to be going into this film. So if that's your thing, then, I'll send you one of those.
Neat.
Well, that's great that you've got different things to offer people who want to get involved and donate to the project. I know I love a tax write-off. That's all. Yep. Who doesn't like saving money from having to pay it back to the government? So,
Well, the Republican nominee doesn't.
Well, that's a different show. And, of course, we don't cover the politics of the day here at Universe. But, yeah, so...
Okay. I'm going to ask you one of those cheesy questions they ask actors. Okay, if you couldn't act for some reason you weren't able to do it, what would you be doing for a living?
Oh, that is a difficult question.
Would it be the dentistry thing, or?
Yeah, I might be a dentist. I might be a doctor, but I'm a natural teacher as much as I hate it. So I might be teaching. Right now I do tutor, and I enjoy tutoring because it's one-on-one, and I can really make sure that the children that I'm tutoring get what they need, and if there's a specific problem, then I can help them overcome that. But as far as teaching, I'd probably be a teacher.
Now,
I actually have a lot of friends that are teachers.
You just brought up an interesting subject, because I had a bulb go off in my head, is that you love math.
Yeah, I do.
And can you tell us a little bit about how much you love math?
Are you trying to make a point?
Well, I'm just, yeah.
Directed at me?
No, it's not directed at you. I know you love books.
I have a problem with math.
But, the conversation we had with her before, and I would like her to talk about her math love and go from there, and then we can elaborate further.
Well, like I said, when I was in college, I was pre-dental, and so I was a biology major because they didn't have pre-dent. But, right around the time where you really have to declare your major because the classes that you have to take, you have to choose the right ones, I kind of thought to myself, if I don't study math in an academic setting, which is what I really wanted to do, I think I would probably regret it. And actually, I make a lot of decisions that way. If I don't do this, will I regret it? Because I don't have regrets in life, and maybe that's why. So I switched my major to math, and, spent my junior and senior year taking all these math classes, and I'm such a lover of math that I would even read math books for fun. So I've got, 5 or 6 math books on my shelves that I read that people use to label me as the math nerd. But I really like math, and I've always been pretty good at it. And like I said, I tutor children in math, and I hope that the way I explain things to them helps it click in their mind, because not everybody has to love math like I do, but we all have to get through school. Mm-hmm. And, if I can help them get through school and, help them get to their goal, then I'm really happy. I tutored this one of my clients in 3 different math classes. She was in college, and she wanted to be a nurse. She still wants to be a nurse, but she had to pass these math classes to be a nurse, and she couldn't do it. So I helped her through 3 math classes. So, hopefully she can be a nurse. And I think she wants to be a traveling nurse, so she can travel around. And so that's really important to me, is just helping the people understand math in a more clear way. Not everybody has to go off and be mathematicians. If they are, they don't need me.
One of the things is that Surlana and I, we really kind of preach about STEM, which is science, science, technology. What is the E? Engineering and math.
Mathematics, yeah.
And I come from a time period that when I was a child, they would always say, well, girls do home ec and stuff like this, and boys do the science and math kind of thing.
That hasn't totally gone away either.
And once again, I'm showing my age, and I apologize once again. But I've never felt, that girls needed to be separated in that sense. I felt like, why do I have to do it? You should do this too. You're very capable of doing this, same thing. And so I've always been, for women to seize upon technology and to math.
Things that have been seen traditionally as male-dominated.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't take away from my masculinity or anything. It just means I want an equal, someone that I could talk to, and
That's why I married him.
And have a level playing field. And if it's kind of like I hate to make it sound like I'm being lazy, but let's say I don't want to do this. You should pick up and do this and pick up the weight on this end. So I really do believe in equality between the sexes, and that's what I'm getting at. And it's always awesome to see, because my nieces have pursued math and related things such as yourself, and it warms my heart to know that they don't need a man in their life to succeed, and not
unless they want
unless
one.
Some
men look great as an accessory.
Well, I think that's why you married me.
Candy.
Make a great accessory for you. But anyway, I digress. So I'm always impressed to hear when such as a fine young woman as yourself is in a mathematical or taking up math as one of their primary things through school, and you're teaching that.
I sort of
awesome.
champion the women in STEM, even though, unfortunately, math is just something I can't do. My poor liberal arts brain can't handle it. That's why I majored. This is the God's honest truth. I majored in English because it had the least amount of math requirements. I went through all of them, and it only had 2 math requirements. I failed them both, went on academic probation, had to sit out.
But Amanda,
it was just
don't get her wrong, because let's put it this way.
Hopefully I've got other skills.
She can read a book like nobody's business, and she can churn them out.
Yeah, that's important too.
She can churn them out and read, and now I admit I'm not as strong when it comes to reading books. I really have to have an interest in it, or it's a tech manual, or because I'm more technical and I like to read technical manuals and things like that. But I'm kind of the opposite end.
He's an audiobook guy.
I'm more the math person in this relationship.
Yeah, that's why I married him, because I was like, 1, can you kill cockroaches? 2, are you good at math? You're in.
But on the flip side is like, she brings that research ability to the relationship. She brings the knowledge of reading something rather quickly and digesting that information. And
research papers.
It's great to have Surlana in my life in the sense that we really complement each other. So, but when I do see someone such as yourself taking on math as one of those STEM things that we've talked about in many occasions on the air and in videos that we've done interviews with, it's really cool to see women make it their own and standing up to men, that breaking that cycle of men versus women.
Like this is, a traditional male role. I can do this too. And
we live in a day that nothing's traditional anymore, and this is an example of that situation. So, I raise a glass to you, nice lady, and
nice lady,
and say you're doing an excellent job. Once again, I'm sure Bev is out there listening. What, she acts, she produces, she plays music, and now we find out she's like a mathematician. What else can this lady do?
I think you've got a new admirer, Amanda.
One of the things that I want to do, at some point in time, is start some kind of, charity for underprivileged children for math and science. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that is a goal of mine, because I think it's so important to me. I mean, I took all the math classes too, but I took all the science classes as well, and I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's almost dogged on as, kind of nerdy, but some people love it, and some people don't have the opportunity to even get a chance to study it. So, I want to develop some kind of math and science charity.
The place where
someday.
I work has a master's in nonprofit management, so they even have people who guest teach as faculty who are heads of some of the big nonprofits here in Houston. So
really,
I might could use my connections at work to see how you would get started as a charity or a nonprofit, if that would help.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So
yeah, absolutely.
I might look into. I'll just make a note of that. He has got a cough there.
Sorry about that. I had to turn it down for a second. Still battling this cough. Yeah, so that's exciting as far as, like I said, I get a little exuberant in the sense of seeing achievement with women in that sense. And it doesn't detract, like I said. I'm very comfortable with who I am, and it doesn't make me feel less. I don't feel women, or when women achieve that, they're not off-putting or aggressive. I find that very attractive in a woman, in the sense that she's smart and intelligent, and
Well, there's a stigma. I hate we got down this road. I'm sorry, Brenda. There's a stigma that if you're assertive and confident and you're a woman, you're seen as the B word.
Mm-hmm.
But and when you get met, like when you're in traffic and somebody won't, they got their blinker on and they're trying to get over and they won't do it, and you just say, "Oh, would you just grow a pair?" Well, I've been screaming, "Grow a pair of ovaries," regardless if they're man or woman. So, there's these weird traditions of gender language where if you're weak, you're seen as the P word. It's also the name for a small cat.
Yeah.
But, if you're being aggressive and assertive, you're being a D that rhymes with sick. And so I just think that even insults have gender attached to them that imply the weakness of the female sex.
Right.
I didn't mean to devolve into this. Sorry.
We could change it around here if unless you have a comment. But I
was just going to say it's all changing. I think with every generation, all of the gender equality is getting better and better and better, and equality for any kind of people is getting better and better and better.
I believe that change is happening. It just takes time. And
literally, they say the people who have the ideas that are not what you want, you have to wait for them to die off. That's the sad part. The ones that have that mindset. And you hope they don't pass that on to the next generation. Oh, okay. Now, I'll just get away from this one and ask this. Now, I was curious, now that, you're in the indie film industry, so I read an article recently, and I'm going to get Joe's perspective on this too, so kind of a juicy topic, I think. I read an article that says, the Hollywood, the main industry, is getting nervous about and upset about Netflix producing its own content and putting so much out there that they're worried Netflix is going to flood the market and there won't be anything left, like meat on the bone for the traditional Hollywood productions. I was just wondering, as somebody that is a regular moviegoer like us, somebody that's an actor, somebody that's now a producer, what would be your perspective on that?
I kind of feel like if things are changing, you got to change with it. So they have to figure it out. I have Netflix, but I don't watch it as much as I used to because some of their content doesn't really interest me. I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just like a marketing thing because they marketed hard for Stranger Things and I watched that. It's like the only thing I've watched on Netflix in a long time. I've been kind of going towards HBO because they release their own individual online platform and I like their shows better. But so I feel like, now when you say Hollywood, are you talking about TV or movies? Because it's kind of two different things. But I feel like the TV game, they need to change. The people don't watch television on television anymore.
Yeah, I think it was more toward the TV.
Toward the TV, yeah. So, I mean, I think I read about a parallel between the music industry and
definitely.
When people started downloading, they had to change the way they do music industry. So most people don't buy music anymore; they only stream it. So maybe something like that needs to happen for television. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question that I don't really have an answer to, other than to say that if things are changing, you have to change with them, because if you don't change with them, you're going to be left in the dust and you're not going to have anything.
Well, I think what we're looking at is the end user who wants the content, whether it be movies, TV programs,
don't care where you
music.
get it from.
Once again, this is kind of like showing my age night. I come from a time when we had 3 channels, and we loved it. I mean, not really.
Well, we didn't know any better.
We basically, if you didn't get around the TV at a certain time, you missed it for like 6 months until it actually was in hiatus or whatever. But I digress. But now we live in a digital world
of
now.
Binge watching.
But let me getting ahead of myself, where people have tasted on demand. And unfortunately, the CBSs, the NBCs, all these channels that are on main channels, kind of hesitated providing on-demand content, even though there was a demand. It was just like with the music world, where people wanted to sample or hear, tracks off of a CD before they could actually buy it, or maybe even to explore other music. And even though the consumer was wanting to buy it that way, companies were reluctant. I mean, the music industry, I know that I don't want to mention the service that we use for our internet provider because we like our service, but they have always been reluctant to providing a la carte, meaning that, yeah, sure, we've gone from 3 channels to 250 channels with nothing to watch. Why do I have to be forced to watch Oprah's channel when I don't want to watch it, or I don't care for sports?
Yeah, it's about a la carte picking,
a la carte, and it's the demand is so much out there, but you have these people that are just entrenched in their corporate philosophy of not providing the content of what the consumer wants. And so now we're seeing the death of TV as we know it, in the sense that we can now go to Netflix or Hulu or any of these streaming channels. Like now, finally, you've got HBO Go and Showtime, where you can get these things. And
I think it's because they are a subscription base. You're already paying for it, so you don't have to. They don't have to worry about their audience and the numbers. They already got it by the number of subscriptions, and you're already paying for it, so they don't have to cater to advertisers, and they're not bound by like the traditional television networks. And it seems, how when the housing says, oh, well, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market. Well, here it's a viewer's market now. Finally, at last, it seems. But I don't know what the impact it is for people who are content makers from the traditional sense for TV.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is I'm kind of over binge watching. I don't know. I really like I feel like the whole culture of watching something at the same time is getting lost. Like, I watched Game of Thrones, and I was really enjoying the anticipation of Sunday night, Game of Thrones night, let's all watch it together, and that's not there with the Netflix binge watching. You
brought up a good one there, because you have people like myself. I'm a binge watcher. I like to watch whole seasons, and Game of Thrones is, and this is going to surprise a lot of people, I have not watched a single episode because I've heard that it's decent, it's good, it's worth watching. So I'm kind of like, I'll watch it when it's complete, when there's a complete.
That's how he wants to watch it.
And but I do understand the fact of the water cooler mentality of gathering around and say, hey, did you catch that last week's episode of whatever, or did you catch?
And also, I subscribe to the trade feeds on Facebook, and think about it, they air 10 episodes of Game of Thrones for 1 to 3 days. They're writing articles about that Game of Thrones episode, so that's 10 to 30 articles. When Netflix releases a show like House of Cards or Orange is the New Black, it still gets 1 to 3 days of press. But since they're releasing everything at one time, they're only getting 1 to 3 articles. So these, I don't know what you call it, like delayed release or one episode release, they get way more press and way more talk than the binge watching.
Because the binge watching gets released all at once, and all the hype is done at one time.
I've seen Hulu's done that, where they've done the one episode at a time, and I see where that is kind of cool in the sense of kind of bringing it back.
Yeah, but he likes to binge watch. Where now I've enjoyed watching the current season of Mr. Robot, but the only way we can see it is the day after it airs on USA through our Amazon Prime account,
because we don't have
traditional TV cable.
Yeah,
right.
So I've been enjoyed where we watch it, and that's the kind of thing where we've got to digest. I like to have a week to digest last week's episode till you see the next one.
Right. Yeah, and so I'm kind of over binge watching. I do still binge watch, but then I think I saw a really funny meme where when you're done, it's like the depression and the withdrawal from your show.
Yes, it's a real thing.
It is a real thing. I told you, after you complete it, you feel like that's it.
Like, what do I do with my life now?
Yeah.
It's all over. It's kind of like, you want to savor some things, so.
Well, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say one more comment about binge watching is the Stranger Things, I think, was, 8 episodes?
Yes.
I feel like that's the perfect amount to binge watch. Jessica Jones was 13 episodes, and I didn't make it through all 13. And traditional TV shows can be anywhere from 10 to 24, depending on what they have. And that's a lot to binge watch. So I feel like, the binge watch trend is probably going to be going for, maybe 6 to 8 to maybe 10 episodes per season. That I feel like that's more doable. And you can binge watch it in a weekend, which is what most people do anyway.
All right. Well, Amanda, give us some plugs as far as your website and all that is concerned, so people know where to find you.
Sure, yeah. My website is just amandadianne.com. I'm on Facebook at Miss Amanda Dianne. Same thing on Twitter at Miss Amanda Dianne. You can check out information about my film on swamp.org and just look under sponsored projects. Also, I'm under, my film is on Facebook at The Cabin Short Film. And then keep an eye out for our Indiegogo launching on Monday.
Awesome. Well, keep us posted on everything you're working on, so that way we can make sure all the Space Cadets know, what to do and how to hook into you. And, of course, we would hope that you would come back and visit us sometime.
Yeah, when you get an update or something cool happens, or let us know, and we'll have you on. If you don't want to be on for 3 hours, just come by for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Just let us know what's happening.
Yeah, we'll stick you into our opening
absolutely.
banter. Yes. All right, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for being a part of the show tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Now, everybody, it is the bottom of the hour, and as you notice, I'm choking to death. And so I'm going to play some music, and when we come back, we'll finish out the last half hour of Spaceboy Universe.
Maybe K28 will call in with his Houston experiences.
We'll see. You're listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com. I am your host, Spaceboy, and across from me is the lovely Surlana. Wink, wink. And
does that mean we're back?
Yeah, we are back. That was a song called New Atlantis. It's off my Departure album that you can find on spaceboymusic.com, and I'm sure...
I'm smiling because K28 has posted a photo of the Buc-ee's sign. Who, big tourist that he is.
I hope Kay took my advice and decided to get some beaver nuts.
Indeed.
And everybody goes quiet. Basically, they're like pretzels, the peanut butter pretzel things, and they put them in a bag and they call them beaver nuts, and that you can get at Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's, as we were trying to describe to our good friend K28, because he was so inquisitive, wanted to know the thing behind it. Buc-ee's mascot, number one, is a beaver.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There's number one fact. Buc-ee's is a beaver for their mascot.
It's like a truck stop, but it's not for trucks. It's for just regular passenger cars.
What it is that in Texas, you've got a long ways to drive. And like, for example, you'll find a Buc-ee's like on the way to San Antonio or down to Galveston, and so when you stop into it's like an oasis, if you will. The number one thing that they're known for, especially on the long trips, is the cleanest bathrooms that you can find on your journey. And
it's not just that they're the cleanest, because they are. The bathrooms are not just stalls; they're your own individual room with floor-to-ceiling vented doors, and you can lock them. And there's this little sign you could turn that says "occupied" or "free," and you in there. You got your own hand sanitizer, all kind of stuff, hooks to put up your coat, your purse.
Your
so you're in your own
everything.
enclosed little room, and they don't just have 3 stalls or 4 stalls. This is like it goes around in a semicircle around the whole, so there's like 15 or something in there.
But wait, there's more. It's more than just a pit stop so you can relieve any liquids or solids out of yourself. You can put liquids and solids back into you because they have an assortment of food.
They have got
drinks.
Every snack known to man. They make their own foods.
Fountain drinks out the wazoo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just different types. And then you got the bottled drinks like you would find in a normal convenience store.
It's a gas station too. So,
but on steroids, like your sister Jeannie was saying, it's kind of like Stuckey's on steroids. But
if you remember Stuckey's. They make their own trail mix, and you can get hot, cold sandwiches, food, and they're like almost like a buffet. They're making it behind the thing.
Hot food, cold
food, every
desserts.
kind of T-shirt, souvenir with Buc-ee's and beavers on it. And depending on what part of Texas you can get stuff from University of Texas or that other one we won't mention, and then. The jerky, they're famous for their jerky.
Oh, jerky's delicious.
Yeah, just everything you could possibly need. Cowboy hats, shirts, apparel, just everything.
It's a one-stop shop for It's basically
and it's a Texas thing.
It's literally an oasis for drivers. I mean,
in Texas, between Dallas to Houston to San Antonio, Austin.
Yeah, there's one major one out towards Corpus Christi.
Yeah, and to Galveston. Yeah, Corpus Christi.
And Freeport as you're heading south from Houston.
The major highways.
Yeah, so you got all these things. And
isn't there one somewhere past Stafford?
Might be.
Yeah, there's one out that way.
Yeah, I mean, and they do have, I've seen a few small convenience store sizes.
But they have to be kind of out in the middle of nowhere, kind of make it worth your while. So,
but the thing is, when you go to these places, I mean, you would never see. I mean, there's tons of people there, and I think what it is, people literally wait to get. I mean, because when I plan a trip,
it's almost like a tourist attraction.
It is a sort of a tourist attraction. I make sure I have enough gas to leave Houston to get to Luling. If I'm heading to San Antonio, so I can make my pit stop at Buc-ee's.
I think we've been to almost every major Buc-ee's, like on 45 and 10.
Yes, indeed.
Dennis, put your clothes back on. I'm still wearing clothes, and I care about a show, and I'm still clothed because normally I'll put PJs on.
She usually has her PJs, but since it's a 3-hour show, she's worried.
It makes him nervous.
We might have a fire drill or something.
Yeah, he doesn't like it when you hang around your PJs. He just
I like to be able to like roll. If we're going to go somewhere, let's roll and go.
We're not going anywhere to this.
I know after this, but
could go to Denny's, but
I'm just saying there are times when it's like, okay, I'm dressed. I don't know. Maybe I was just beat as a kid to like, okay, get out of bed and get dressed. It doesn't matter where we're going.
As soon as I got home from school, and Dad got home from work. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Everybody got in their pajamas. That's it.
Not me.
Comfy.
You see how I'm dressed, right? Shorts, shirt, T-shirt. After school, bam! I was in my T-shirt. Well, I was usually wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and I just stripped that off, and I had my T-shirt underneath. And, I'd grab some shorts and, I'd go outside for a little bit, or I'd stay inside and play Nintendo or whatever, or Atari, and that was my life then.
He's posting pictures of the food he had in Galveston and that picture of the hat store that was next to the restaurant we met him at.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, apparently K28 had a good time. Of course, you would never have thought of that if he'd actually call in, but,
That's fine.
Yeah.
We don't want to get him in trouble.
I like this. Roll and go, man. That's my new phrase right there, Ronald. Thanks for the phrase. A phrase that pays. So,
roll and go?
Basically roll and go, man.
Is that like a drive-through?
Well, being a...
What happened to Astro World, K28 wants to know.
Astro World
They tore it to the ground.
It's kind of sad because it was an institution here. They had... Waterworld and Galveston was connected. They were both connected together. I guess they just decided to tear it down, and then the Astrodome has been in the process of being remodeled. They were talking about the other day that putting in parking space, ripping out the ground floor and putting in parking in there, and then doing something to the rest of the building just so they can keep the landmarks somewhat intact because it is owned by the taxpayers. And
did Astro World, was it just no longer profitable, or?
I guess they just got tired of putting money into it. I mean, they still have...
Because when I was visiting...
It's Six Flags of Astro World.
Yeah.
And they have Six Flags out towards San Antonio. I think they have something up in Dallas.
Because it was still here while I was still visiting Houston before I moved here for good. Like, the roller coaster was still up. Maybe it was just the roller coasters that were still left, and it was not functioning. It was closed. And by the time I came back, nothing. I mean, maybe there's a nut and bolt out there in a field somewhere. It's just an empty field.
It's just an empty field.
Or maybe they've.
I mean, you still have the bridge that goes over 610 to get to what was Astroworld. I guess it's time it's come and gone. And there were rumors that they were going to build a Disney park out toward, not there, but out towards like towards Pearland and out that way in the area that they had lots of land. There were rumors that Disney was buying up property out there, but
I heard that there's a new water park coming.
Just what we need is another water park. You got Sluterbahn down in Galveston, or you can go out towards Sluterbahn in New Braunfels. So, I mean, well, let's take reality here. It is hot a lot, and people like to cool down, and, not everybody wants to go take a dip in the Gulf of Mexico, so, it is what it is.
Yeah, I just...
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's the Buc-ee's thing, is that, an Oasis...
It's a Texas thing.
It's a Texas thing, but it's worth the trip. If you see a Buc-ee's, you must stop in for the experience. As for Astroworld, we're sorry that it had to go, but...
Minute Maid, I work very close to Minute Maid Park, K28.
Yeah, I've been to Minute Maid a few times. Great ballpark. The best part to go for is a stadium dog. Hot dogs, for some reason, are just the most delicious hot dogs are at a baseball game.
I think it has to do with being sweaty.
Well, there's nothing. Well, I'm not going to go down that way. I'm sure the space cadets can put their own imagination to
I cracked myself up.
Sweat in hot dogs. Anyway,
that was the only time I'd ever been to a baseball game. One, two, to the Minute Maid Park to see the Astros. Is when I went with you, and they were in the middle of a losing streak. And I went with you, took one of my chicken purses, and they won that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they never won again.
Yeah, we got to eat in one of the suites. The company I worked for at the time did something generous, which they don't do very often, and paid for a suite and allowed some of the employees to go hang out and eat food and as much as you can eat and watch the game. It was quite enjoyable.
Yeah, this was sort of a luxury thing. When you and I went, wasn't on our dime, so to speak. So
I'd still go back and watch the shows. And
do you know that's where I work? They have the graduation ceremony in Minute Maid Park. You actually walk the diamond to go get your diploma.
See, Ronald needs to get the subliminal off the chat when, draw your own conclusions. It's...
The California raindrops are no way they're bigger than Texas raindrops because, one, you ain't having any, and two, you were here during just a tiny little cloud leak. You weren't here during an honest-to-goodness thunderstorm.
What the audience listening doesn't understand is K28 is saying that California raindrops are bigger than Texas raindrops, and
we actually have rain. That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen how lush Houston was when you came down here?
Did you see how green it was?
Yeah, it was very green. And we're due for some rain coming up, I think, this next week. I mean, we've had cool weather.
I'm freaked out by the cool weather because I'm like, you're just showing me this preview of cool weather, and you're just going to snatch it away. I know you, Texas. I know what you do.
I mean, we've got our hot moments, but it's usually humid. It's a jungle down here, so...
There's 10 minutes if anybody wants to call in.
Yeah, if somebody wants to call in just to say howdy.
If not...
We won't bite.
We're just going to keep rambling till...
I know that in order for Kay to call in, he needs...
Yeah, it has certain circumstances. We don't want to out his circumstances there.
He has certain restrictions as far as calling, but when he can call, we appreciate his call, and I guess he got as full of us.
Yeah, he's probably had enough of us.
Yeah, so... let's see here. What else? Well, we could talk about, because we're almost to the top of the hour. We got a great guest next week, people. Preston Dennett is going to be on our show. If you've heard of him, great. If not, it's a UFO-related subject matter show, and it'll be good. We got to touch base with him this past week. And
Dino's calling again?
Well, is he really?
Dino, is this a butt dial?
No, this is not. I don't want to abuse the privilege, but since you asked for a caller, I thought you might be interested. I went to the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival today in Golden Gate Park, and I know you're a music guy, and I thought you might want to hear about it.
Yeah, tell us about it, because I heard you mention it when we had our guest on, but I didn't want to harsh her vibe there. But yeah, go ahead and talk a little bit about it while we still have time.
Well, basically, as I said, there are evil hedge fund people and bankers who do seem to run the entire world, including the United States. But one of these hedge fund guys who died about 3 years ago was named Warren Hellman, and he loved bluegrass music as a hobby, and he loves Emmylou Harris, the singer. So it's 15 years now. 15 years ago, he said,
I guess it would help if we'd actually turn on the mic here. Is everybody hearing us now? I wonder how long we've been off, dear.
I don't know.
Oh, that's terrible.
Did they hear about the tall blonde aliens?
Well, I guess you were talking about the...
So you're at this bluegrass festival, you're enjoying the music, but you also kind of keep an eye out for those who may not be from around here, so to speak?
Yes, for those who might be from off-planet or at least not of our species. And I wasn't quite sure, and so I asked this one tall blonde woman who was taller than me, and I mean, that's pretty tall. There's some giants who go to these things, too. I don't know what they're feeding kids nowadays, but so I asked them, hey, do you live anywhere, have you ever lived anywhere in Nevada near Indian Springs? And some of them don't get it.
Well, what is in Nevada and Indian Springs? I don't get it.
That was where the supposed secret underground base that Dr. Charles Hall has written about in his three books. And
Gotcha.
that they're very tall and they don't trust humans, but they've been spotted a couple of times in Las Vegas because they like to gamble. They go with escorts.
Hey, well, did you hear that we're going to be having Preston Dennett on next week, Dino? What do you think about that?
What's that again? And Prescott? What?
Preston Dennett.
Oh yes, no, he's a guy. He's a guy after my own heart. He's kind of a tall, lanky guy like me, and he seems to have the market on the Los Angeles area. Is it? Mm-hmm. And he has been doing research for longer than I have, and. No, I hope we get to talk to him.
We had a nice what do you call it? We do a pre-interview.
Yeah, pre-interview to get to let the guests know what we're all about.
Let him know who we are in case he thinks we're a bunch of random wingnuts.
Yeah, and of course, when after the conversation's done, it's like
probably confirmed we're random wingnuts.
That we are random wingnuts, and that I'm willing to take a step onto the spacecraft with y'all, kind of thing. But yeah, we're excited about having him on next week. It's funny because I think I put the word out on our anniversary show. I would love to get Preston on the show because I've been trying to, contact him. And not soon after that, he friended me on Facebook, and then I get a message and saying, "Hey, I hear you want me to come on your show," and so. It's great that we have space cadets that kind of help us.
Yeah, the cadets got that on board with that.
Yeah, so we're going to make sure everybody has a great show next week on that one.
Yeah, if you y'all have questions, you want to ask him. If you want to send that to us either in the Spaceboy Facebook or Twitter, and you want us to answer that ahead of time, go ahead and do that.
Well, I'm just so happy. I mean, some of these really what I consider the more realistic researches in these fields that we explore on your program, that they would take the time to come on. This is really nice of them, and I hope that they have new information that maybe they haven't had a chance to speak about on other programs.
Well, the thing is with our guest is that we recognize some of these people, you've heard several times, whether it be on Fade to Black, Coast to Coast, possibly even Beyond the Strange, but we like to change it up with some of the guests, and we've warned, like when we had Micah Hanks on, we said, we know you're used to some of the questions, and we're going to ask you some of those questions, but be prepared because we're going to change it up. And that, of course, that night we talked about Doctor Who and all sorts of other things off the deep end while Surlana was over there following her nails. But that's a different story.
I think I managed to blow his mind just a tad.
Yeah, I think you did because, you showed your research side and the literature side that you're so well known for. But, so that's what we like to do is that, we will come at a guest now where we'll ask some of the questions that you've already heard just to kind of revisit. But, after that, we'll pop him
if we knew him better and he knew us better, there's one question I ask him. I won't do it out of respect for the serious nature of his subject matter, but he would be the person to ask, do aliens have cellulite?
Oh, yeah, and then you have me as the wild card. I mean, when on a good night, when I'm centered, sometimes I can come out with some questions that they go, whoa, where'd that come from? And
well, you got a week to get centered. Get centered, Dino.
Get centered, Dino. Justify yourself and get centered, and make sure you're with us on the next show when we have Preston on.
No, I will. I don't think I have any plans for that Saturday, sadly, as we get toward Halloween.
Whoa. Are you saying we're like sloppy seconds?
Oh, man. I feel cheap.
You guys
I feel
are married.
So cheap.
Your Saturday night is different than mine. Let's just put it that way. I'm not married.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of the universe, and, it's always a treat to talk to you, Dino, because you are a man, you are a legend beyond time, and we thank you always for calling in.
Well, I always try to keep a probe for your in orbit around your.
Please don't
universe.
probe me.
No, this is a probe that just observed.
Well, Dino,
all right. Have a good night. I'm going to sign off and let you do your business. Thank you for having me on, even though I came on late.
No problem.
It's a 3-hour show now, Dino. So we appreciate you calling in. All right.
He just. Boom, he's gone.
He knows the drill, man. So like we were saying, next week, Preston Dennett is going to be on the show. It's exciting. And then, of course, the 15th, we have Joe Grassafi.
Who's producing the cabin and he's done some other things
after
that are
our
really
technical
cool.
issue that we had on the 17th of September, we're bringing him back. Now, of course, before we leave, there's also one show. We're going to have a show on the 29th. And it's going to be slightly controversial, but in the end, you'll make the decision. We're going to be talking about the Stan Romanek story. And a very interesting story. We're going to present to you the story, and we're not going to draw any conclusions on it. We're going to let
Just
you
our
make
impressions. And I've actually read 2 of his books, his wife's book. I've seen his lectures he's given, and everything that's gone then, the stuff that's going on now. Just kind of want to see what we make of that. It's an interesting topic.
Yeah, so join us definitely that night, and we might have a surprise thing on the 22nd of this month. We're still trying to work that one, but ultimately we'll see how that goes. So let's see here if I can do this. All right, so Surlana, looks like we made it.
You're not going to sing Barry Manilow, are you?
No, I promise I won't. I might do Copacabana later, but...
Let's wait for your voice to heal.
Okay, we'll wait for my voice to heal. Other than that, this has been SpaceboyUniverse.com. Say goodnight, Surlana.
Good night, Surlana.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Surlana. Executive producer is Surlana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K, K28, Mark S, and Bob N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.